Last weekend, this extraordinary one that Roy Hodgson has had since taking charge. 4 wins from 6 in the Premier League. Crystal Palace unsurprisingly unchanged. Johnston in goal, Ward, Anderson, Gehi and Mitchell, Eze, Doucouré and Schlupp, with Zaha and Elise either side of Jordan Ayew up front. The two sub-benches for Tottenham: Brandon Austin, the goalkeeper, Dyer, Kulusevski, Perisic, Sarr, Bissouma, Danjuma, Mora and Sanchez. And for Crystal Palace, the subs: White, the goalkeeper, Milivojevic, Lokonga, Mateta, Clyde, Hughes, Edouard, Richards and Riedewald. Well, both sets of players have got rid of the tracksuit tops they were wearing before the match. Kick-off is just a few minutes away, with goals as they go in from elsewhere this afternoon in the Premier League at the Vitality, the Etihad and Molineux. 03717 223344 is the number for the game day phone in later. And we've got Fight Night live boxing from Birmingham later. Joshua Buatsi against Pavel Stepien from 7 o'clock on Talksport 2, and then you can switch to Talksport from 9. A big day ahead on the Talksport network, but we start in the Premier League on a Saturday afternoon where almost every part of the table will be affected. And as the season reaches its climax, there really is only one place to be, and that is here on Talksport. Harry Kane and Wilfried Zaha in the centre circle will be underway in just a few moments. I can see Roy Hodgson sitting in his position in the dugout. We are high up on the halfway line in our commentary position, and a real sense for Tottenham here that it is must win in their fight for European football. Perry, just briefly. Yeah, very much so. I think it's must win as well for their own self-respect. So they haven't been setting the world light here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I've been here, lucky enough to be a couple of times with Talksport, but they got outplayed by Brighton, even though they won the game, and outplayed by Bournemouth. And now both sets of players will walk to the edge of the centre circle, and on the day of the coronation of King Charles III, the crowd will stand and pause in just a few moments for the national anthem. And there's continued coverage of the coronation today across our sister station Times Radio and also over on Talk TV. Here at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the day of the coronation of King Charles III. And now on the field, the match, a London derby. Spurs against Crystal Palace. Tottenham, of course, still with hope of European football, but defeat today, and that hope will rapidly continue to fade. No win in 4 for Tottenham, and for Crystal Palace, quite the revival under Roy Hodgson. They are really enjoying their football these days. And it's Crystal Palace who get the game off and underway. Live on Talksport. We'll be around the grounds for all the goals as they go in the Premier League across the afternoon. And Palace playing from left to right in the first half towards that huge single-tiered south stand away to the right. Palace in their blue and red striped shirts, blue shorts and blue socks. And Tottenham in white shirts, dark blue shorts and white socks, playing from right to left in the first half here towards the north stand, the old Paxton Road end of the ground, if you know the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Here is Joel Ward with an early touch in the right back position for Crystal Palace. And then Eze, who's been on a super run of goal-scoring form, completely turned around his form in front of goal since Roy Hodgson returned to the club, is dispossessed, but Palace quickly win it back. And there's a touch for Zaha on the halfway line, and a tackle from Emerson Royale. Out of play it goes for a Palace throw. Here's Perry Groves. Yeah, Palace get themselves on the board in possession. Just looking at Tottenham, Joe, a bit of a surprise. They've gone to a flat back 4. Emerson Royale playing as right back.
then Ben Davies playing as a left-back and Pedro Porro playing in the right of a four-man midfield.
It was an extraordinary weekend in the Premier League, and very few matches more spectacular than the Spurs defeat at Anfield by 4-3. And Ryan Mason stood on the edge of his technical area now, arms folded, at just 31 years of age. The responsibility as head coach until the end of the season.
It looks like it's going to be quite fluid from Spurs as well, because when they're in possession, they're going into the back three. Emerson Morel comes in as the right-sided centre half, and then Ben Davies on this left-hand side, then he pushes up as if he's a left wing-back, with Pedro Porro playing as if he's a right wing-back on the right-hand side.
Quite a vibrant atmosphere here in North London. Spurs starting the day 7th, 9 points off the top 4, 5 off 5th, and a point off 6th, with Aston Villa very close behind them. Here is Pedro Porro looking to raid down the far side, the right. Ball infield to Richarlison, who controls in front of a rather static Doucouré. And now Davis on the overlap on the near side, the left. He tries to pull it back infield towards Son, but across came Michael Elise, who is the assist king for Crystal Palace in the Premier League this season, and he's there to win it back. And Crystal Palace look a very confident side in these early stages. 2.5 minutes gone on Talksport. Tottenham 0, Crystal Palace 0.
Yeah, it was a good switch of play from Richarlison from that right-hand side. So Elise's got to make sure that he's got his wits about him, because Ben Davies got goal side of him, but his first touch just was a little bit heavy. That allowed Elise to get back and just stick the ball off him.
Kane with a flicked header into the path of Richarlison. The flag has stayed down, and it's a good save by Johnston, and the flag eventually does go up. Richarlison did look miles offside. He was actually retreating from an offside position away to our left, and then after a couple of seconds, eventually the assistant did put that lime green flag up into the air.
Yeah, he was a good sort of yard and a half offside. Just a goal kick from Sam Johnson, was run by Ben Davies. Little flick on from Harry Kane. To be fair to the two Crystal Palace centre halves, Anderson and Gahey, they actually made sure that they squeezed up Joe, just to make sure that they weren't lazy to play Richarlison offside.
Former Arsenal winger Perry Groves on enemy territory again today. Perry,
false nose and glasses
as usual. Here is Ayew looking to raid down the inside right channel. Across comes Romero, punts the ball high into the air, and Crystal Palace win a corner in front of that south stand to our right. 0-0.
Yeah, decent little run there from Jordan Ayew. Just bend his run into that right-hand channel. As you said, corner goes out for Crystal Palace, which Elise will take with his left foot in swinging.
Yes, another day of live football on the Talksport network, and more to come tomorrow in League One and in the Premier League, where we have West Ham against Manchester United. Corner to Palace, it's whipped in by Elise. Here comes Forster, punches away one-handed. A great responsibility on Fraser Forster now, with Hugo Lloris out injured until the end of the season. It's a very calm chest of the ball back from Pedro Porro into the gloves of the big goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was a great left hook there from Fraser Forster. Made sure he come out, he was commanding. Really cool play from Pedro Porro, because as the cross came in, we said there from Elise, and he just chested it back, Jodin, with Fraser Forster running a couple of yards behind him.
Here is Longley for Tottenham on the halfway line with the red boots on, forward to Son. Son very quick to dart in field with possession, and now Longley with a whip ball cross field, left to right to the far side, and it's kept in play by Pedro Porro. You're right, Perry, it's a very fluid setup for Tottenham. At times it looks like they're playing with their regular centre defensive three, and then occasionally they almost set up with a flat four.
Yeah, out of possession it's a flat back four. In possession they go to the two wing backs. So Ben Davies just makes sure his heels on this left-hand touchline. Pedro Porro out on that right-hand touchline. And just early on this game, coming up to 5 minutes, Joe, a feature of Spurs' players that they've switched to play very quickly. You saw Longley do it here from this left-hand side, trying to pick out Pedro Porro. Unfortunately, just overhit it, went out for throw for Crystal Palace.
Goalless elsewhere today in the Premier League, including at the Etihad, where Manchester City know a win over Sam Allardyce's Leeds would take them 4 points clear at the top ahead of Arsenal. And that's a slice clearance out of play by Tyrick Mitchell, and a throw to Tottenham on the far side there right. A long way from our commentary position, the usual flurry of South Korean flags around the stadium. Plenty here to watch. Heung-min Son. Here is Højbjerg on the halfway line, chipping the ball up the middle, header away by Anderson for Crystal Palace. It's 0-0 live on Talksport from the Premier League. It's Elise looking to wriggle infield from an inside right channel position, and he's fouled by a retreating Davis, and a free kick to Crystal Palace about 10 yards or so into opposition territory.
Yeah, that was more like a waltz and Strictly Come Dancing, wasn't it? Because Elise got himself the wrong side of Ben Davies, and Ben Davies just sort of did the gentleman excuse me, asked him for the next dance, and Elise just fell to the floor.
And Davis in that slightly unfamiliar position, though he did come on and play at left back against Manchester United in the recent 2-2 draw here. Ward striding forward for Crystal Palace, the long-serving Joel Ward. Ball out to the near side, the right, and Elise. Ward was caught, but the referee plays an advantage. It's threaded into the penalty area towards the onrushing Ayew. Swept out of play by Romero for a Crystal Palace throw, just shy of the corner flag. Hibs leads St Mirren by a 1-0 in the Scottish Premiership. Perry.
Yeah, just looking at Elise, when he's on the ball, he's going to have a 1v1 battle with Ben Davis, but then you saw Longley come out to make it 2v1, so if Elise comes in on his left-hand side, he's going on to Longley.
As the number 10, corner of the penalty area, now Decore laying it square to Tyrick Mitchell. This new-look Crystal Palace in terms of this attacking approach. Here is Schlupp inside the box, the angle tight, tries to pull it back across goal, but he actually missed his kick there, ended up flying into the advertising hoardings. Good covering by Romero, and it's a goal kick to Tottenham away to our right. Tottenham 0, Crystal Palace 0, 7 minutes played. Neither goalkeeper's had a save to make as yet.
Yeah, it's got a good pace about it though, Joe, the game. To be fair, both teams looking to get the ball forward. Just there we saw Wilfried Zaha coming off that left flank, nice little reverse pass. To be fair to Romero, he followed the run of Jeffrey Schlupp. He said there, just lent into him, and then kindly picked him up after he smashed him into the advertising boards.
Roy Hodgson on the edge of his own technical area now. And Crystal Palace do not have a good record at Tottenham in the Premier League. Their only win here in the Premier League came in 1997 when Neil Shipley scored the goal, of course, at the old White Hart Lane. A long diagonal ball by Longley, perfect for Pedro Porro, who brings it down and gets away from Mitchell too. Driving in field, lays it square to Son, 5 yards to the edge of the D, back it goes to Skip. And Skip gets the return ball. Now Son on the edge of the penalty area once more, converged upon by Palace defenders in blue and red. Has to thread it wide to the left, and Davis goes back towards the halfway line. And Clement Longley and Spurs have lost some of the momentum that they had in that attack.
Yeah, it was again that switch of play from Longley, playing the left-hand side of the free centre-halves in possession out to Pedro Porro. If Pedro Porro has a better touch, he gets himself beyond Tyrick Mitchell. His touch was really heavy, came inside, that gave Palace the chance to get their bodies back to defend.
Longley at the lip of the centre circle, forward to Son, and now Højbjerg, neat touch back to Longley. Spurs, who've been so often criticised this season for making poor starts in matches, and something that Ryan Mason is, I'm sure, desperate to address. They were 3 down after 15 minutes at Anfield before a remarkable fight back that would have seen them secure a point, but for Lucas Moura's late error and Diogo Jota's late finish. So 0-0 here, but an early goal at Molineux. Talksport's Jeff Peters.
It's Wolves 1, Aston Villa 0. Corner to the home side on the right-hand side, played in, and there was Totti. Not someone who scores many goals, but he got his header in off the crossbar, and Wolves lead Villa by a 0-0.
Goals elsewhere in the Premier League, down on the south coast at the Vitality Stadium. Alex Crook.
Bournemouth 0, Chelsea 1. Finally some respite for Frank Lampard. Conte with a cross from the right hand side. Conor Gallagher heading home with a near post. Bournemouth 0, Chelsea 1.
And Davis with the cross from the Tottenham left. It's over Harry Kane, and Crystal Palace will smuggle it away. Still 0-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And as Alex was saying, a massive relief, no doubt, that goal for Frank Lampard, who's lost 6 from 6 as Chelsea's caretaker manager. Caretaker managers, interim managers, the way of the world these days in the Premier League.
Temporary.
How many different synonyms can we find?
Useless. It was a bit harsh.
Here goes Elise for Palace, wriggling away from Son just shy of the halfway line. A lively start at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and good noise, but no goals. Header away by Emerson Royale, jumping clear in front of Zaha, and now Richarlison, tackled by a retreating Schlupp, who'll send it all the way back to the goalkeeper Sam Johnston, who's keeping Vicente Guaita out of the side. He's had a good run in the team, has Johnston, the former West Bromwich Albion goalkeeper. Motherwell lead Kilmarnock by a 0-0 in the Scottish Premiership. Forward to the halfway line now, and Eze for Crystal Palace, and Decore plays a square ball into the feet of Gehi. Now Zaha, who got that long-awaited goal in the win against West Ham last weekend, a win that could have been even more comfortable for Crystal Palace. A game that you heard live on Talksport. Ray Lewington's just gone to have a quick word with Roy Hodgson as Palace keep possession. Just as I say that, Zaha gives it straight to Romero.
Yeah, the difference at Ryan Mason, you can tell Spurs have been working on this midweek, is when they're out of possession, they go into a 4-4-2. So it's two banks of four, which the distance is really good between the back four and the midfield, and they leave Richarlison and Harry Kane up front.
Zaha, 5 yards to the corner of the penalty area, back infield to Doucouré, whose pass actually came off the referee, because it fell back to the Palace player, allows play to continue. Zaha darting up the left, sliding in his Emerson Royale, and got a good reception when his name was read over the tableau before the game, and he's gone down and he's won Tottenham a free kick deep inside their own.
Do you know what? That was Darren England, the referee, because he actually got in the way of the ball. It's a good touch, I see, from his thigh, and Spurs were under pressure in their bottom right-hand corner, and it wasn't a foul, but he didn't want Crystal Palace to get the corner, because then he'd be accused of not stopping the play. So it was quite cute there from Darren England, the referee.
And still Tottenham 0, Crystal Palace 0. Chelsea lead at Bournemouth by an early goal to 0, and Wolves in front against Aston Villa, which is good news for Spurs, actually. Let's get the latest at the Etihad. Early stages, Talksport's Mickey Gray.
So far so good for Sam Allardyce and Leeds United. It's still Manchester City 0, Leeds United 0. City put a lot of pressure on it. They've got a lot of possession in the game, trying to create that first big opportunity, but so far so good for Sam Allardyce and Leeds United. Man City 0, Leeds United 0.
And of course, Leeds starting the day outside the bottom three, only on goal difference. Can Sam Allardyce make the most extraordinary early impact in those 4 games that he's got to save Leeds from relegation?
No, it was funny during the week, Joe, when he compared himself to Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp. That's like comparing Simon and Garfunkel with Chaz and Dave. Both brilliant at what they do, but in different ways.
Chalk and cheese almost. Here is Schlupp on the halfway line for Crystal Palace, wriggles away from Højbjerg and knocks it square to the near side, the right, and Ward. Palace have had more of the possession in the game so far. Crossfield ball by Elise, right to left, beautifully pinged onto the foot of Zaha. Zaha controls and sets up Mitchell on the underlap, low cross to the near post. Ayew, his first touch takes him away from goal, away from Romero 2. Palace still have it down by the dead ball line. Eventually Mitchell rattles it off the shins of Emerson Royale, and that's a Crystal Palace throw, playing from left to right.
Great switch of play from Elise, right to left, but if I was Wilfried Zaha, when he's getting 1v1 with Emerson Royale, I wouldn't want Tyrick Mitchell coming on the underlap. I'd say just you stay away, stay behind me 5 yards, because then if I need you, then I'll give it back to you. I want to go 1v1.
Longley will steer the ball on the angle to the left wing back position, and Ben Davies now. Davies sees his clearance charge down. West Ham against Manchester United live tomorrow evening from the Premier League on Talksport. Earlier in the day, we'll bring you the climax of the League One season on Talksport 2, where our base is Hillsborough for Sheffield Wednesday against Derby. Monday, the League 2 and Championship finales at 12:30 on Talksport 2. Commentary of Tranmere against Northampton. Then here on Talksport at 3 in the Championship, Millwall against Blackburn. Here come Crystal Palace. Eze's popped it through the middle towards Schlupp, and that's a goal-saving challenge potentially there from Longley after Tottenham very careless in possession initially, and Longley had to stretch in to poke it behind for a corner. 0-0.
Brilliant sliding tackle from Longley. It was Skip getting himself caught in possession by Jeffrey Schlupp. Comes out to Eze. He just tries to return the pass to Schlupp. He said there it was Longley, got a long Inspector Gadget leg out, just put the ball off for a corner again for Palace on their right hand side.
And Elise will come across to take it. Those 9 Premier League assists this season for Michael Elise. Only De Bruyne, Saka and Trossard have got more than that over the league season. And he's whipped the ball high, deep to the far post. Anderson heads it back across goal, and it's gathered by Forster. Anderson was, I think, trying to find his centre defensive colleague Mark Gehi, but Forster's handling was sharp, and he bowls the ball out to Højbjerg, and Tottenham can look to counter, albeit Højbjerg at walking pace has to play it square to Davies.
Yeah, they change it up a bit there from the corner kick. Elise just a little short corner, gets the ball back, and then it's Anderson who just spins away from Richarlison at the far post, who'd fallen asleep. As you said there, Joe, he couldn't quite get his header back across the 6-yard box, just went harmlessly into Fraser Forster's hands.
Here is Emerson Royale playing at times to the right of a centre defensive 3 and at times as an orthodox right fullback. And now Longley just shy of the halfway line. Forward to Son, he's 10 yards or so inside Crystal Palace territory, looking to spin away from Elise's opposite number. And Davies on the near side, the left crosses, and it's into the stomach of Ward, who's gone down and is hurt here.
I think the physio will come on and say you've got to count them, because
Was it a bit lower than the
might
stomach?
just be a bit lower than his stomach.
You might be right. The way that Ward is looking in a little bit of agony down by the corner flag, and he's slowly sitting up now. Tottenham will have a corner at that three-tiered north end of the stadium. A little bit of drizzle in the North London air. In fact, more than that now. It's starting to really tumble down. Been grey and cloudy all day so far. The Ward is back on his feet. Now Crystal Palace have some defending to do. 16 minutes gone and still 0-0 on a day where Spurs really need a victory in their push for some sort of European football come the end of the season. Corner from the near side of the field. And Pedro Porro right-footed into the near post. Header off the crossbar. And it'll be hacked away by Crystal Palace and away from danger. But Tottenham so close, the first real opportunity of the game so far. Johnston was statuesque and the ball rattled off the woodwork.
Yeah, it was a brilliant delivery from Pedro Porro, in swing his right foot. Well, first it looked like it was Romero got to the ball first, just glanced it with his forehead. They said there, Sam Johnson rooted to the spot and comes cannoning back off the crossbar.
And it stays 0-0, but that's the best chance of the game so far by some distance. And Tottenham, who are very much a second half team in terms of scoring goals, but it was nearly they who made the good start. Here is Skip, midway inside his own half the field, and a square ball to Romero. You can see that Ryan Mason has done quite a lot of effective work on the training ground this week, as Højbjerg steers the ball high up in the air towards the left wing position. Cushion header infield by the Crystal Palace right back Ward, and Anderson will see it all the way back to the goalkeeper Sam Johnston.
Yeah, I think he's obviously just trying to cause Crystal Palace problems, especially with the threat of Elise on this right-hand side, Wilfried Zaha on the left-hand side. So that's why he comes back into the flat back four. But in possession, they're going to try and push Wilfried Zaha and Elise back.
Zaha trying to chase a long ball up the middle, and it's come off Romero, who'll be able to clear. There's been a goal in the Premier League at the Etihad Stadium. Which way, Mickey Gray?
It's gone to Manchester City. It's Manchester City 1, Leeds United 0. 19 minutes on the clock. They've worked the ball really well out to Riyad Mahrez. He pulls the ball back to the edge of the 18-yard area, and Ilkay Gundogan, first time with his right foot, just slots it into the bottom left-hand corner. Super finish. It's all they deserve, the home side. Manchester City 1, Leeds United 0.
Manchester City go 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League with a win today. It's Tottenham 0, Crystal Palace 0 here on Talksport with Now Sports. Don't forget, with Now Sports you can stream all the Sky Sports action, like Liverpool against Brentford live today for $11.99, no contract. Search Now Sports. Tottenham in possession. Kane couldn't control that ball, threaded in field by Davis, and now Palace on the counter-attack. A little exchange or attempted a 1-2 between Zaha and Ayew, but the latter's ball towards Zaha was a really poor one, and Tottenham have possession again. So Wolves in front, Manchester City in front, and Chelsea ahead as well in their game at Bournemouth, still waiting for the first goal of the day here in North London. The ball is with Son, midway inside Crystal Palace territory. Simple square ball to Skip, who's got some strapping on his head after that challenge by Diogo Jota at Anfield last weekend. Here's Emerson Royale just inside opposition territory.
Well, I'm glad it's not a hairband, because he's actually got less hair than me.
Now that's just cruel, Perry. Forward by Romero up the middle towards Richarlison. Spins away outside right channel to find Kane. Ball infield by Pedro Porro, and Richarlison looked to play it back into the path of the onrushing Spaniard, the man on loan from Sporting, who then races in towards Gehi and commits a foul on him, and that'll be a free kick to Crystal Palace midway inside their own half of the field. Gehi standing over the ball, the man who has captained Crystal Palace on numerous occasions this season when Wilfried Zaha hasn't been available. He plays it back to Johnston, the goalkeeper. Johnston inside his penalty area, drives the ball out towards the halfway line. Up goes Davis to beat Ward to the initial header. The ball bounces around in front of the Crystal Palace dugout. Roy Hodgson is standing on the edge of the technical area with his hood on. Mid-driving rain now. And here is Mitchell in the left-back position. It's suddenly slowed down a bit, the pace of the game, and the atmosphere has dropped a bit with it, Perry.
Yeah, first 15 to 20 minutes was pretty hectic. Both teams trying to look to get forward. The problem that Palace have is Doucouré's just got himself on the ball now, but normally when they try and play out, Hotspur goes and man-to-man with him. They couldn't get out. There he had 10 yards of space, and obviously just turned to get Palace on the attack on the left-hand side.
Crystal Palace almost at walking pace at the moment. They go back to the halfway line, and we'll take you back to the south coast where there's been another goal at Bournemouth. Alex Crook.
Equaliser for the Cherries. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1, courtesy of a peach of a strike from left-back Mateus Vina. He picked up the ball 2 yards inside the area and curled delightfully right-footed into the top corner. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1.
And Bournemouth, as Alex mentioned earlier, could potentially leapfrog Chelsea today. So Chelsea's lead was a short-lived one. We saw them in possession here, 0-0.
Saw Vigna make his debut here.
And wasn't he brilliant?
Yeah, he was superb on that left wing-back position. Took his goal really well. Just a little dink over Hugo Lloris.
Forward by Davis, threaded up the inside left channel towards Richarlison, but up came the goalkeeper, Sam Johnston, very quickly to gather. 03717 223344 for the game day phone-in later on here on Talksport from 5:30 with Jamie O'Hara and Gabby Agbon-Lahore. You can have your say on the afternoon's football, and we'll keep you up to date with the 5:30 kickoff in the Premier League, which is at Anfield. Brentford the visitors to Liverpool. Header away by Romero from midway inside his own half the field. Live boxing to come later as well. Boazzi against Stepien across the network. Build-up underway on Talksport 2 from 7 tonight, and then over to us on Talksport from 9 o'clock. Here is Ben Davis in the left wing back position for Tottenham, who are just struggling to get themselves going again now after a promising opening few minutes for both sides at times, and Tottenham have hit the bar through Romero, but it's still 0-0 midway through the first half, and that's a hopeful ball by Skip up towards Kane, but Mark Gehi was always the favourite, and he sees it back to Johnston. Johnston will just chip that high up the middle, and Ayew can't bring it down. He's had it whipped off his toes by Pedro Porro. Tottenham on the counter. Son's giving it away to Doucouré, who gives it straight back to Højbjerg. Middle of the Crystal Palace half. Beyond 2 in red and blue. Now Harry Kane through towards Højbjerg. Angle tight! Rifles it over the top. Well, all of a sudden, Crystal Palace had a soft centre there. Højbjerg looked to exploit it. Neat little 1-2 with Harry Kane. Angle was a bit against him inside the area. Couldn't keep the shot down. Good football from Tottenham.
Yeah, it's really good play from Højbjerg. It was, I think it was Doucouré give the ball away. Højbjerg gets the ball, plays a little give and go with Harry Kane. Great little reverse ball from Harry Kane on the right-hand side of the 18-yard box. Højbjerg continues his run, and what he's got to try and do is get it back across Sam Johnston, but he actually sliced it completely, doesn't even hit the target.
And it's a goal kick to Crystal Palace, who have their usual noisy band of travelling fans wedged in one corner of the stadium, 3,000 or so on their feet here today. Long ball by Johnston, which reaches the halfway line, but Emerson Royal is there to win it back for Tottenham. Richarlison has slipped on a slippery surface, and now Zaha trying to control just inside Tottenham territory, footed from Romero, out of play for a Crystal Palace throw on the halfway line, Perry.
Yeah, at the moment both teams just gone a little bit flat. They're looking for that spark, that little bit of creativity. I said before, although Højbjerg did great there, a little give and go of Harry Kane, Spurs' problem is they don't have that creativity in the middle of the park. So when they're trying to play out from the back, you need Skip or Højbjerg to have the awareness, just to be able to clip it round the corner, or set Richarlison away. And at the moment that's not happening. Crystal Palace, Roy Hodgson will be pretty pleased getting up to 25 minutes. Obviously his team hasn't conceded, but he might be a little bit disappointed with Palace going forward, because we haven't seen a lot of the likes of Elise or Eze or Wilfried Zaha.
Eze has possession on the halfway line, trying to 1-2 with Elise, but not quite the same fluency in the play for Crystal Palace here. Crystal Palace, who have scored 13 goals in the 6 Premier League games under Roy Hodgson and had at least 10 shots in all of those matches. Quite the contrast at the tail end of the Patrick Vieira era. Tottenham now with Son driving forward up the left wing, has to play it square to Davis, infield towards Kane with the first time ball, but Eze saw it coming, makes the interception. Schlupp has been fouled by Skip coming across, and that's a free kick to Crystal Palace midway inside their own half the field. A couple of goals to tell you about in Scottish League 1. FC Edinburgh 0, Airdrieonians on, and Queen of the South 1, Kelty Hearts 0. In Scottish League 2, Stenhousemuir 1 and an Athletic 0 is a latest score. And in the SPFL Pyramid Playoff semi-final second leg, the Spartans lead at Brechin City by 1-0, so they are 2-0 up on aggregate. The ball is midway inside the Tottenham half, and Højbjerg has shrugged aside Eze there. And Tottenham have possession back, carelessly given away by Skip. Straight to Mitchell. Mitchell onto Zaha. He's about 10 yards to the edge of the box. He wriggles away from Royale. Then he was tripped by Skip. 2 mistakes in a matter of seconds from the Tottenham midfielder. And a free kick to Crystal Palace. Let's quickly go back to the Etihad where there's been another goal. Mickey Gray.
Manchester City 2, Leeds United 0, and it's the same pairing of Riyad Mahrez. He gets played out again to the right hand side and just picks out İlkay Gundogan. Not first time this occasion. He takes a couple of touches and he just lasers it into the back of the net, gets a lot of power on it to give Joel Robles absolutely no chance in that Leeds United goal. There's so many players in front of him, he can't see the ball before it hits the back of the net. City have been brilliant, Leeds have got problems. Man City 2, Leeds United 0.
The same old story for Leeds. Hibs 2, St Mirren 0, a latest score in the Scottish Premiership. Here on Talksport, Crystal Palace have a free kick left of centre, just over 25 yards from goal. Elise and Eze, the two standing over it. It's 0-0 away at Tottenham in the 27th minute of the game. Plenty forward for Crystal Palace here, but it is probably just about within shooting range. And Eze will strike it right-footed and he cannons it high into the wall. And it ricochets up into the air, headed by Ward towards the edge of the penalty area, dealt with by Romero, scooped towards the right by Elise, kept in play by Anderson, and hoisted downfield by Ward again, and it's come off Elise, and it's bounced kindly for him inside the area, and the low shot is gathered with relative ease by Forster. Not a great deal of power behind it.
Yes, the first save Fraser Forster's had to make in anger. Just gone 27 minutes. Decent play for Crystal Palace. Anderson just lofting it into Jordan Ayew. He actually ricochets it off of Elise, gets a little bit lucky, but it's a decent volley from Elise on the right hand edge of the 18-yard box with his left foot, but went straight down the throat of Fraser Forster.
And now here comes Davis, charging into Crystal Palace territory, infield from the left, and Harry Kane has got Pedro Porro on his right hand side, and he looked for Pedro Porro. Excellent interception on the stretch by Mitchell. That was crucial, otherwise Pedro Porro would have been clear on goal. I was watching the Tottenham forward players warming up before the game, and some of the finishing was excellent. Of course, it's a completely different situation once you're out in the field in the middle of a game, but Pedro Porro was nearly in there.
Yeah, that's really unusual for Harry Kane, because normally the weight and the choice of his pass is spot on there. He just needs to put it in the space for Pedro Porro to run onto. In the end, it was an easy interception from Tyreek Mitchell on that left-hand side.
Goalless it remains. For the latest odds, head to Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage. Right now, Tottenham 11-10 on to win. The draw is 21-10. Palace are 7-2 to get all 3 points. That's all thanks to Betfair. 18+, begambleaware.org. Game day live from North London today. Here is Romero for Tottenham, just shy of the halfway line, and he's given it straight to Schlupp. That was a really poor pass from Schlupp through the middle, threading it up towards Ayew, hacked away by Forster, who got a good starting position, but Ayew was never going to reach that anyway. It was poorly played by Schlupp.
Yeah, both teams have just been sloppy in possession. First one was from Romero. To be fair to Heung-min Son, he made a great run from this left-hand side, got himself in behind Anderson, and Romero just took too long to release the pass.
High ball for Tottenham up towards Richarlison, the header away by the towering Mark Gehi. Manchester City lead Leeds by 2-0. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1, a latest score. Wolves 1, Aston Villa 0. That's good news for Tottenham, actually, with Aston Villa hot on their heels at the start of the day. Here is Son back to Davis on the halfway line. Infield it goes to Skip, the number 4. Quickly on to Romero. And neither seem able to find any great pace in attack at the moment, Perry Groves.
Yeah, they're taking too many touches when they're at the back on the ball, Spurs, at the moment, because Romero had the ball there. Richarlison standing 15 yards looking at him, just saying, just ping the ball into him. He took 4 touches. By the time that happened, the space was closed now.
Son, left wing position, plays the 1-2 with Davis. He thought about the reverse ball into the penalty area, does swing it in, headed away by Gehi. Was aimed at Richarlison at the far post, but Gehi impressive yet again. Here is Romero in the centre circle. The noise of the crowd starting to pick up here. The Spurs fans want to see more. Not the first time that we've heard the frustrations at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this season.
Joe, you know what that was for? That was to move the ball quicker. When it went for Romero, he takes 4, 5, 6 touches, and then the picture changes. It gets more congested. Even the crowd here, probably 57,000 Spurs fans, are saying, get the ball at your feet, move it quick. It doesn't make any difference if you shift it onto Højbjerg or onto Oliver Skip, then the picture changes.
Here is Son, 5 yards from the corner flag, taking on Ward, driving to the dead ball line, cross deflected behind for a Tottenham corner, and of course it was from a corner earlier on in the half that they came closest to opening the scoring so far, and here comes Pedro Porro again to whip it in right-footed.
Yeah, exactly the same. We said there, the best chance Tottenham have from Romero's head up from a Pedro Porro in-swinging corner is exactly what's going to happen. Spurs players all lined up, a couple of groups, one group of 4 at the near post, group of 3 at the far.
It's in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Romero's there again, and it's sliced behind off the left boot of Joel Ward, who could have let that just trickle out of play. Instead took a massive swing at it with his left foot, and it's gone behind for another Tottenham corner. And Crystal Palace were very vulnerable to set pieces last weekend against West Ham, and they look vulnerable to set plays here. 0-0 in the 32nd minute, whipped into the near post again by Pedro Porro, this time well dealt with by Ward, and some ironic cheers from the Crystal Palace fans. All 3 goals they conceded at Selhurst last weekend came from corners. Here is Pedro Porro, still on the left wing, out to Son. Son all right foot, deep ball to the far post. Kane underneath it, trying to pull it back. That's come off. Mitchell has it, yes it has. And Tottenham get their 3rd corner in quick succession, and now the atmosphere is starting to build again.
Yeah, the Tottenham faithful getting a bit riled up. A couple of corners in quick succession. Great switch of play there from Son, just in the inside left position, just trying to swing it out to Harry Kane coming on the right hand side, just trying to ease it across the 6-yard box. To be fair, it's good defending by Tyreek Mitchell in that left back position, corner the Spurs over on their right hand side.
Plenty of aerial ammunition for Tottenham today. Pedro Porro out swinging, headed away by Anderson through a crowd. It's come back towards Højbjerg, who brings it down his chest. He's unopposed, midway inside the Palace half. Crossfield ball with his right foot, well chested down on the intercept by Schlupp, who scuffled it over the halfway line. Zaha will get there in front of a retreating Skip, who's backing off and backing off. Zaha into the penalty area, couple of step overs beyond Skip, going to get to the dead ball line and cross he can, and it almost reached Ayew before it's hacked out of play by Pedro Porro for a Crystal Palace throw deep inside the Tottenham half.
Yeah, brilliant play from Crystal Palace on the counter-attack from defending their corner. Rupert Zaha found himself unmarked in the right wing position. At first, Oliver Skip thought he was going to be a little bit exposed. To be fair to Son, he's run a full 50-60 yards to get back to make it 2v1. Little Cruyff turn from Zaha at first, cuts inside Skip, then goes on the outside of Son, cuts it back, but the 3 Crystal Palace players who've got themselves into the 18-yard box have run beyond the ball.
Still the rain falling here. Ward will take a throw for Crystal Palace, level the edge of the penalty area. Spurs have almost everybody back. Ward crosses now right-footed. It's scooped up into those cloudy skies by Romero. Son went down, wrestled to the ground by Joel Ward, and that's a free kick to Tottenham in their left-back position. Live boxing to come later from 7 over on Talksport 2, then at 9 o'clock on Talksport. Boazzi against Stepien. We've got Premiership Rugby live from Bristol against Gloucester at 4 o'clock on Talksport 2. And here on Talksport at 5:30, the game day phone in 03717 223344. We'll keep you up to date with goals as they go in from Anfield in the 5:30 kickoff as well.
Crystal Palace fans singing an ironic song there. Is this the Emirates? Sounding like lack of atmosphere, where the crowd has gone a little bit dead. But I've got to say, this season at the Emirates, the atmosphere has been absolutely vibrant. It's the best atmosphere it's been in the 17 years that Arsenal have been at the Emirates.
Former Arsenal winger Perry Groves with us on commentary today. Here is Romero, 10 yards shy of the halfway line, again at a very slow pace, floats the ball forward into the path of Son. Son plays it square to Kane, he's turned away from Mitchell, he's got support from Pedro Porro, crosses right-footed, Son can't reach it, good interception by Doucouré, sliding in because otherwise Son, coming in on his right foot, racing into the box, would have had a clear shot at goal, and Doucouré stretching his legs to get there first, and it eventually rolled through to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's Tottenham's best move of the game. Son coming in from this left flank in centrally, just linked up with Harry Kane. He puts it out to Pedro Porro on the right hand side. He thinks he's going to pull it back to Son just in the 18-yard box, and that's exactly what you want your holding midfield player to do, Joe, is come and occupy that space centrally. Exactly what Doucouré did. He got a brilliant sliding right foot out there, just deflects it back to Sam Johnson and completely cut out the danger.
10 minutes of the first half remaining here. Zaha has the ball out on the left wing position for Crystal Palace. It's knocked back into his own half, and Mitchell, and now Schlupp tangling with Skip, footed from Romero, and Richarlison beaten to it by Decore. Richarlison was caught, but Decore got to the ball. It looked like initially. Referee waves play on, and Richarlison now slowly gets to his feet. Here is Schlupp again. He's given it straight to Son, but there was a foul on Zaha earlier in the move. A late challenge by Pedro Porro. A free kick to Crystal Palace now, and the referee is going to have a word at the very least with Pedro Porro. Let's bring you the latest at Molineux in the Premier League on Talksport with Jeff Peters.
It's Wolves 1, Aston Villa 0. Totti Gomez with the early goal, a header from a corner, but Villa have had chances. Jose Sarr with a brilliant save from Buendia, and Ollie Watkins just had a free header from 8 yards which went straight at the goalkeeper. Lively game this, Wolves 1, Villa 0.
Talksport takes you to the Vitality Stadium. Latest there, Alex Crook.
Still Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1. Conor Gallagher heading Chelsea in front, countered out by a brilliant strike from the Bournemouth left-back Matheus Vinha. Bournemouth have come closest to adding to the scoring. Ryan Christie heading wide from 6 yards out. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1.
Crystal Palace free kick pumped into the penalty area by Elise, headed back across by Anderson and cleared away by Emerson Royal on the stretch. Tottenham 0, Crystal Palace 0, and I think a frustrating first half for Tottenham in particular. Elise's high diagonal ball looks for Anderson at the far post, and Anderson has lofted the ball onto the roof of the net under some pressure from Davis, but it's a big chance for the centre half. Delightful diagonal ball from Michael Elise, who really has an eye for a quality pass, and Anderson at the far post maybe should have done better.
Yeah, it's a brilliant ball from Elise from that left-hand side. It was just like he faded a 5-iron in there over the top of Richarlison. That's the third time that Anderson has got himself over the top of Richarlison, heads it down, gets a little ricochet, comes back to himself, and because he's just leaning back there, Joe, he can't get his knee over the ball, goes over Fraser Forster's crossbar.
Well, he loves playing the long diagonal ball, doesn't he, Joachim Anderson? And he was on the end of one there, not a regular scorer, and so the ball stayed out and Forster not forced into a save. Here is Emerson Royal juggling over the head of Zaha on the halfway line. That gets a ripple of applause from the Tottenham fans, and now Højbjerg midway inside his own half of the field, out to the near side, the left, and Davis checks back in field and plays it back to Longley. Will be in East London tomorrow evening on Talksport for West Ham against Manchester United in the Premier League. Monday night, Nottingham Forest against Southampton, huge game in the relegation battle. I'll have the final day of the League One season tomorrow at Sheffield Wednesday against Derby on Talksport 2, and then on Monday night the League 2 finale, Tranmere against Northampton on Talksport 2, and then Millwall against Blackburn on Talksport in the Championship. At the same time on 2 you can hear Middlesbrough against Coventry. We've got all the playoff matches as well. It's the only place you can hear the EFL on national radio is the Talksport network. Floated forward by Pedro Porro into the path of Son, into the box, escapes the defenders, goes down, challenged by Anderson, nothing given by the referee. I think it would have been soft, Perry.
Yeah, it would have been soft. Anderson did well, just stood his ground, but when it comes into Son, Joe, he's got to hit it first time. As it comes to the edge of the box, he's coming in from this left-hand side. It's perfect for his right foot to try and bend it into Sam Johnson's top left-hand corner. He takes a touch, then he comes backwards. Anderson just stands in front of him like a brick wall and thinks, you're not coming through me. Quite rightly, Darren England, the referee, just says, no, nothing to see, play on.
Tottenham can't quite find that fluidity in the final third.
What it is, Joe, is all over the pitch they take too many touches, even from the centre halves. Instead of just getting out their feet and shifting it on, they'll take 3 or 4 touches. It comes into Højbjerg, he'll take 3 or 4 touches. It should be all 1 and 2 touch.
Here is Anderson with a couple of touches on the halfway line for Crystal Palace. That diagonal ball towards the right wing position is cleared away by Davis, not convincingly though. Good turn by Jordan Ayew away from Højbjerg through the legs of Skip. He's midway inside Tottenham territory. Good football here for Crystal Palace. It's with Zaha, corner of the 18-yard box, infield towards Ayew, has continued his run, he's blocked off. It comes to Mitchell, who tried a cross shot that was deflected high towards the opposite side of the 18-yard box now, and Elise's right-footed cross is sliced, and it's gone behind on his weaker side for a goal kick to Tottenham. 5 minutes of the first half remaining.
Yeah, again, it's just that little bit of quality from both sides in the final third. Decent build-up play from Crystal Palace, makes it way over to Wilfried Zaha, then he tries to just release Jordan Ayew, who just run from the centre out to that left-hand side position, couldn't quite get his cross in, comes back out to Elise on this right-hand side, there's no conviction, Joe, was there at all in that right-footed cross? He just sort of thought, well, I'll help it into an area, and just goes behind Fraser Forster's goal.
We can see Tottenham fans heading for the concourse areas ahead of half-time.
Going to get their craft beer.
Well, we know they're a second-half team, don't we, Perry? So maybe they're expecting it already.
Yeah, well, to be fair, they did start off quite positive in the first sort of 15-20 minutes. They tried to be on the front foot.
Yep.
Richarlison was looking lively, just getting himself alongside Harry Kane, just getting little darting runs in behind, but then they've just started to slow the pace of their passing down.
They've faded a bit since, as you say, on a day where they could really do with a victory in their push for European football. Here is Davis, about 10 yards into Crystal Palace territory. Crystal Palace with everybody back behind the ball. Roy Hodgson again on the edge of his own technical area, watching on. Steep drop to the near side of the field from where we are. Here's Pedro Porro, led with the edge of the 18-yard box infield to Richarlison. Now Oliver Skipp rolls it square to Højbjerg. Rolled it away from goal really there, Skipp, and Højbjerg now is going to have to turn and go back to the halfway line, and there come the moans and groans of the Tottenham supporters.
Yeah, that's just about summed up Tottenham for this last sort of 20-21 minutes, because in a decent position, and Højbjerg gets it, instead of rolling it out to Ben Davis on the left, he just turns and comes backwards.
Richarlison right wing crosses, cleared away by Decore from the middle of the penalty area. It's come back out to Harry Kane with his back to goal. A long way from goal though, and now Longley out to the inside left channel, and Davis back in field to Kane again. All a bit narrow for Tottenham just for a moment there, but they've got Emerson Royal pushing out wide right.
You know what's happened there with Harry Kane? He's actually got bored. Harry Kane's got bored and thought, right, I need to get myself into the game. That's why he's dropping deeper.
Højbjerg now left on edge of the penalty area, onto his right foot, dinks in the delivery, headed away by a stretching Anderson, and then down went Højbjerg, down went Elise, and the referee stopped the game because it looks like it could be a head injury to the Crystal Palace man. Ross County 1, Livingston 0 in the Scottish Premiership. Ross County, who are bottom of the table and 4 points adrift of safety, but an important lead for them against Livingston. And let's bring you the latest at the Etihad in the Premier League with Talksport's Mickey Gray.
Well, 43 minutes gone, still Manchester City 2, Leeds United 0. City are just going through the gears at the moment. It looked like they was going to get the third goal, but they've just got a bit scrappy over the last couple of minutes as well, giving the ball away. Phil Foden on occasions, Julian Alvarez, and you can see Pep Guardiola a little bit frustrated, but still in control. Man City 2, Leeds United 0.
Thanks, Mickey. Tottenham 0, Crystal Palace 0 here on Talksport with Car Finance 24/7 in your corner throughout your car buying journey. Search Car Finance 24/7 today. I'm sure to some extent Ryan Mason can't wait to get these Tottenham players in at half-time. They're not catastrophically behind, of course, as they have been in recent matches, and they've had to really rouse themselves in the second half, but it is 0-0 and they've not created all that much. And here come Crystal Palace. Zaha edge of the box. Can he skip away from Pedro Porro? He can. Tries a cross. It came off Emerson Royal and then deflected back onto Zaha and has gone out of play for a goal kick with 90 seconds of normal time remaining.
The Spurs have been good defensive in the wide areas. If it goes to Wilfried Zaha, Pedro Porro makes sure he gets back and he protects Emerson Royal on that right-hand side. On this left-hand side, Ben Davis makes sure that he engages Elise, and if Elise gets a 1v1, then it's Longley who just comes over again and makes a 2v1. So they've been very good on the defensive side, but have to say there's been no spark or creativity going forward from general play from Tottenham whatsoever.
Romero hits a forward ball up the middle towards Son, but Joel Ward is there on the cover, always the favourite. Had a good 6-7 yard head start on Son, cleared away by Johnston, the goalkeeper, towards the centre circle. Hardly mentioned Harry Kane, as you said earlier, Perry.
That's why you can understand his frustration, and we know he loves dropping into that 10 position, but he's actually dropping in more into a midfield position than in the 10 position, because he's trying to get his team going. I think he can sense that Skipp and Højbjerg haven't got that creativity or that vision, so that's why he's dropping back in there.
Tottenham desperate to return to European competition again next year. Next week is the return of the Champions League. We'll be in Madrid for the Real Madrid against Manchester City game on Tuesday. Live commentary on Talksport from inside the stadium. Here is Longley in the left-back position for Spurs, who, of course, are surely well out of the top 4 race, but desperate to finish as high as they possibly can. Here is Longley, just shy of the halfway line. Angled ball to the near side, and Davis into a minute of added time at the end of the first half. It's 0-0. Kane with the ball on the half volley. Pedro Porro is going to hair forward and reach that with ease. Down by the dead ball line. Pedro Porro crosses. Harry Kane! It's their talisman who's got the goal. Of course it's Harry Kane. And he moves now outright to being the second highest scorer in Premier League history, above Wayne Rooney, and maybe even more importantly than that, he gives Tottenham the advantage in a game that they really have to win. Just before half-time, Tottenham 1, Crystal Palace 0.
Joe, Kane, is he able? He certainly is. Said about him dropping into that sort of deeper 10 position. As the ball comes into him from Ben Davies, it's a touch with his left foot, it's a spotter's badge as he swivels and volleys it out to the right hand side to Pedro Porro. Then he makes sure he carries his run into the box. Joe Ward has absolutely no idea where Harry Kane is. Fantastic cross in from Pedro Porro to the far post. Brilliant downward header from Harry Kane. Gave Sam Johnson absolutely no chance whatsoever. Textbook, rose like a salmon at the far post. Tottenham 1, Crystal Palace 0.
Well, there it is, an air of inevitability about it, but Harry Kane, when he rises in the 6-yard box, you only expect it to go one way, and now 209 goals in the Premier League for Harry Kane. Only Alan Shearer has scored more top-flight goals, and it's another landmark for Tottenham's record scorer, and it's a goal that ensures they are in front at half-time. After what actually had been a very frustrating half, I think, for most Tottenham fans. In fact, many around the stadium would probably have missed that goal. Very quiet between two teams who've been involved in games that have had plenty of goals in recent matches, and neither team had really threatened seriously aside from Romero's header onto the woodwork. Crystal Palace with a couple of half chances for Elise and Anderson, but it's the man on the pitch who looked surely the most likely to score, who has scored. A 28th goal of the season in all competitions for Harry Kane, and at half-time on Talksport, it's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Crystal Palace 0.
Yep, Spurs 1, Palace 0. We'll talk to Perry Groves about that first half very shortly, but let's round up what's gone on elsewhere, because the half-time whistle has just gone here at the Etihad, and fairly comfortable for the champions so far. Mickey Gray.
Where it is Manchester City 2, Leeds United 0. Goals coming on 19 in 27 minutes from Ilkay Gundogan. Great play from Riyad Mahrez for both goals. Gundogan with a first-time finish on 19 minutes, and then a couple of touches before he fired the ball into the back of the net on 29 minutes. It's been all Man City. It could have been a cricket score. They've had that many opportunities. Problems for Sam Allardyce and Leeds United coming out in the second half. What can they keep the score down to? Man City 2, Leeds United 0.
Yeah, a few incidents I'll mention from that first half in just a few moments. But let's get the half-time situation at Molineux with Talksport's Jeff Peters.
It's Wolves 1, Aston Villa 0. Great start for the home side, scoring inside 10 minutes. Neves with the outswinging corner, met by left-back Totti Gomez. A thumping header which went in off the underside of the bar. Totti getting his first goal for the club. Villa close to a leveller when Emi Buendia let fly a sweet half volley from the edge of the box. Jose Sarr with a stunning full-length fingertip save to push it wide for a corner. Ollie Watkins with a couple of chances for Villa. The best one, a free header, 8 yards straight at the keeper. Wolves almost got a second on the stroke of half-time, but Cunha blazed over from a Costa knockdown.
Yeah, it was a brilliant set piece. It was a free kick on the edge of the halfway line. He switched it to Semedo, decent cross by Semedo, just to the edge of the 18-yard box. Costa chested it sweetly, and Cunha just couldn't keep his shot down. But I've been impressed with Wolves, obviously coming off the back of that 6-0 to Brighton. Looked after the ball when they've needed to, looked dangerous. Cunha being probably the most dangerous player, but also pressed really well together as a team, and that's how they got the early pressure and in the end got the opening goal.
As it stands, Wolves 9 points above the relegation zone. Julian Lopetegui said yesterday, when asked about staying up, you are pregnant or you are not pregnant. This is my answer. Until we are pregnant, we are not pregnant. Interesting. Do you think they look like a side who could still go down regardless of what happens today?
Yeah, very interesting analogy there, Jeff. No, not for me. I mean, I think 37 points is enough, 36 points is enough anyway. They just look like a team where they're still at it. They've certainly not got the flip-flops on. And this being a West Midlands derby, they want to win it, and they've shown that out there. Some courageous play, some great defending as well, I have to say, from the Wolves players. Stuart Atwell, I feel he's not endeared himself to the home fans because he's given a lot of soft free kicks to Villa. I'm not sure why, but on the flip side of that, there was a possible penalty to make a decision on, and he's gone against that. So I think the home fans can't be that bothered.
Half-time at Molineux. Totti Gomez's side goal separates the sides. It's Wolves 1, Villa 0.
And it's half-time at Bournemouth as well. Talksport's Alex Crook.
Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1. Frank Lampard's visitors bidding to avoid a club record equalling 7th successive defeat. They got off to the perfect start, and N'Golo Conte with a looping cross on the right-hand side. Conor Gallagher had made a darting run for near post and nodded the ball back across goal beyond Neto, the goalkeeper, into the far corner. But Bournemouth back on level terms soon after, courtesy of a brilliant strike from their left-back, Matthias Vigna. He picked up the ball 2 yards inside the penalty area and curled a right-footed shot beyond Kepa Arrizabalaga into the top corner. Ryan Christie could have put the host in front. He headed wide from 6 yards. Noni Madueke comfortably has been Chelsea's best attacking player. He's had a couple of tame efforts saved by Neto. Decent watch this. Half-time, it's Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1.
Bringing you all the half-times very shortly on Game Day Live on Talksport. But let's get the latest from Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage.
Game Day on Talksport with Betfair. Get a hand from Betfair's popular bet builder and easily add our fan favourite football selections to your bet slip. Terms and conditions apply. See support.betfair.com. 18+ begambleaware.org.
Well, Barry Orr from Betfair, how are we looking at half-time?
Yeah, first goal scorer, favourite backers off to a flyer with Kane netting there, but half-time betting Spurs 1-4 now to go on and claim all 3 points. Palace 14-1 to draws, also a 4-1 chance. If you think it's going to remain 1-0 in correct score betting, that's 16-5. 2-0 is currently 130, or over 2.5 goals. So another 2 goals in this game has been a popular bet at half-time with Betfair customers. That's 11-10.
Barry, thanks very much. That odds update is all thanks to Betfair. Returns accurate as of 10 minutes ago. For verification, see betfair.com. Over 18s only. Conditions apply. Go to begambleaware.org.
Game Day on Talksport with Betfair. Get a hand from Betfair's popular bet builder and easily add our fan favourite football selections to your bet slip. Terms and conditions apply. See support.betfair.com. 18+ begambleaware.org.
This is Game Day. Half-time classifieds.
In the Premier League, Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1, Manchester City 2, Leeds 0, Spurs 1, Crystal Palace 0, Wolves 1, Aston Villa 0, Liverpool-Brentford kicks off at 5:30, Scottish Premiership, Hibs 2, St Mirren 0, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 1, Livingston 0, St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0. In Scottish League 1, Alloa 0, Dunfermline 0, Clyde 0, Montrose 0, FC Edinburgh 0, Airdrie 1, Peterhead 1, Falkirk 1, Queen of the South 2, County Hearts 1. Scottish League 2, Albion 0, Stirling 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Elgin City 0, Dumbarton 1, Stranraer 1, Forfar 0, East Fife 0, Stenhousemuir 1, Annan Athletic 0. And in the Scottish League 2 playoff second leg, it's Brechin 1, Spartans 1. That's 2-1 to the Spartans on aggregate.
Game Day Live on Talksport with Car Finance 24/7. Say hello to hassle-free car finance. Search Car Finance 24/7 today. Representative APR 19.9%. Car Finance 24/7 is a credit broker, not a lender.
Hello, my friend. Life comes at you fast, so make time for you time with Just Eat. For early times, lunch times, late times, strange times. The perfect times for the McDonald's Sausage and Egg McMuffin, Five Guys Cheeseburger and Strawberry Shake, Domino's Pepperoni Passion, plus more from Costa Coffee, Creams Cafe and Pizza Express. So order now, later, in a bit, whenever. We got it.
Did somebody say Just Eat?
Product subject to availability in restaurant and serving times. Participating stores only. See justeat.co.uk for details.
We got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade goes.
At Selco Builders Warehouse, we've got real deals on a wide range of building products. In May, we've got Stone Market Natural Stone Paving Project Packs at £18.99 per square metre ex VAT. And with free delivery, that's a real deal. Find more real deals online at selcobw.com.
We got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade goes.
That charged at 20%. Free delivery within local delivery areas.
Rodri to De Bruyne, flicked on to Walker. Goal! No one saw that coming.
Or as we say in Japan, no warutaka wa tsume o kakusu. The smart hawk hides its talents. For a taste beyond expected, Asahi Super Dry, official beer partners of Manchester City. Enjoy responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk.
This football season, get a hand from Betfair's popular bet builder and easily add our fan favourite football selections to your bet slip in just one tap. And you can get a £5 free bet when you place a £5 bet builder on Newcastle versus Arsenal. How handy is that? Betfair.
Opt-in required. Max £5 free bet builder valid 72 hours. Minimum combined odds. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus begambleaware.org.
For all the top Premier League analysis, listen to The Game, the Premier Football podcast from The Times. Every Monday and Thursday, join Hugh Woosencroft and a host of big-name guests for in-depth reaction and opinion on the latest action and the biggest issues in the world of football.
It's a massive goal!
Hear previews of all the upcoming matches and provocative and compelling opinions from some of the finest football writers from The Times and The Sunday Times.
Lovely bit of football!
Listen to The Game on the free Times Radio app or wherever you find your podcasts.
We all fantasize about our perfect home, watching the big game cozied up in the snug.
Another 7-0 win!
Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of June 2022 and 30th of September 2022 is under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
And he's barrelled it straight through the midfield into the Village Hotel Pub and Grill Fan Zone, the home of big screen live football. A long volley over the stadium seats by the giant screens into the left-hand corner of the bar. Past a winning lineup of ice-cold beers and a magnificent menu of mouth-watering footy food. Result! Enjoy the perfect big match experience with food, drink and live football at a Village Hotel Pub and Grill Fan Zone at 33 UK locations. Find your nearest venue and win monthly prizes, including match tickets at villagehotels.com/fanzone. Get in! Conditions apply. 18 plus. Always drink responsibly.
Game day live on Talksport with Now Sports. Stream all the Sky Sports action like Liverpool versus Brentford live today for $11.99. No contract. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
On DAB, online, on the app,
and on your smart speaker.
King-sized football on the nation's favourite Talksport, your coronation station. On one's head, sire. Talksport.
Corner from the near side of the field. And Pedro Porro right-footed into the near post. Header off the crossbar. And it'll be hacked away by Crystal Palace and away from danger. But Tottenham so close. Tottenham on the counter. Son's giving it away to Decore, who gives it straight back to Højbjerg. Middle of the Crystal Palace half. Beyond two in red and blue. Now Harry Kane through towards Højbjerg. Angle tight. Rifles it over the top. Elise's high diagonal ball looks for Anderson at the far post. And Anderson has lofted the ball onto the roof of the net. Under some pressure from Davis, but it's a big chance for the centre half. Kane with the ball on the half volley. Pedro Porro is going to hair forward and reach that with ease. Down by the dead ball line. Pedro Porro crosses. Harry Kane hits it in, and Tottenham lead. And it's their talisman who's got the goal. Of course, it's Harry Kane, and he moves now outright to being the second highest scorer in Premier League history, above Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, Spurs 1-0 up against Crystal Palace. Just a quick word on the game here at the Etihad. Man City 2-0 up against Leeds, both from Ilkay Gundogan. I think the referee Andy Madley's been very kind to Leeds United. Forshaw, first minute, crashed into Rico Lewis. It's one of those let him know he's there moments. Kevin De Bruyne was side down by two Leeds players, but it took Andy Madley 45 minutes to finally show a yellow to Nonto. I think it was a little bit unfortunate, but he did foul Riyad Mahrez, but maybe a yellow before that might have stopped the possibility of a crunching challenge and therefore an injury. So not great from the referee, not great from Leeds either. 5-4-1. It could be they're playing and they're 2 down. It could be 5 down. But there was a moment, Mickey Gray, very quickly when Erling Haaland was clean through and showed that he's not a robot, he is actually human.
He's feeling sorry for his dad's old team. I think that's it, Adrian. He's had a word with him before kick-off because he's had a couple of really good opportunities that normally he sticks in the back of the net. And I don't know if you remember the move that Haaland was involved in with the flick from Gundogan, the flick from then Kevin De Bruyne back to Haaland, which was just...
he put it wide, didn't he?
It was unbelievable. What a chance.
The one where he's clean through and it's an air shot. And he's tumbled over, crashed to the ground, laughing at himself, which makes you love him even more. But
well, when you've scored 51 goals and you've scored 35 in the Premier League, And maybe we've figured it out today, Edwin, because he's only scored 6 goals with his right foot. Show him on his right foot and he falls over.
Well, team's about to come out here. Sam Allardyce, Carl Robinson, Robbie Keane, the coaching staff, they've all got a job on here. Very quickly at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs 1-up. Harry Kane has scored, but Perry Groves, you're feeling sorry for Harry Kane?
Yeah, he's too good for Tottenham Hotspur. He was getting bored the last 20-25 minutes of the first half because he wasn't getting any service. Skip and Højbjerg weren't passing the ball quick enough. He dropped back into the 10 position, then he dropped back into the midfield position. I'd watched the goal later on. If any centre forward, it is the archetypal centre forward play. When it comes in from Ben Davies, he's got his wing mirrors on where he swivels and he volleys it out to Pedro Porro, gets himself into the box, far post. Joe Ward doesn't it? It's like a John Charles header, rise like a salmon at the far post. If he stays here next year, I think he's 30 in July 8, isn't he? If he stays here next season, it means he's too comfortable because you don't want to waste. He's got probably 4 years left at the top of his game. He's got to get himself away from Spurs and go and play in one of the top teams. He's just too good for this team.
Well, as an individual, Harry Kane's having another brilliant season, and his goal is the difference between the two sides. Live and exclusive on Talksport. It's Spurs 1, Palace 0, second half at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with double title winner Perry Groves alongside Joe Shannon.
And Harry Kane is the first player ever to score 10 headed goals in a Premier League season with the header that separates the two teams. They're back out on the field of play here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Lots of empty dark blue seats actually as we prepare to get back off and underway. It doesn't look like any changes for either side, and it'll be Tottenham to get the game resumed, playing from left to right towards that south stand where there are about 17,500 Tottenham fans when it's full, and Tottenham in the white shirts, dark blue shorts and white socks. We are back off and underway live on Talksport on Game Day Live. We'll be around the grounds in the Premier League for goals as they go in elsewhere. Crystal Palace playing from right to left towards the end of the ground where their fans are housed, and Palace in the blue and red striped shirts, blue shorts and blue socks. Here is Joel Ward for Crystal Palace inside his own half, back to Anderson. So Tottenham with Forster in goal, Royale, Romero and Longley the centre halves, with Pedro Porro and Davis getting forward in the wing-back positions, and occasionally they will shift to a defensive 4, Tottenham, with Skip and Højbjerg in midfield and Son, Richarlison and Kane up front. And for Crystal Palace, Johnston the goalkeeper, Ward, Anderson, Gehi on the ball now, and Mitchell the back 4. Decore sits just in front of them, ably supported by Eze and Schlupp, with the front 3 of Elise, Zaha and Ayew playing through the middle. Header away by Emerson Royale, out of play, and it's a Crystal Palace throw midway into opposition territory. A lot of talk about Harry Kane during the game, after the goal and at half-time, Perry Groves, but I'm sure that Roy Hodgson will have been very disappointed in his side conceding so late on.
Yeah, it was just lack of concentration from both fullbacks actually. Tyrick Mitchell got himself sucked in a little bit too narrow, and then it went out to Pedro Porro, and then Joe Ward, the right back for Crystal Palace, he wasn't aware that Harry Kane was coming in at the far post. I think Roy Hodgson will be just disappointed in his team's lacklustre performance even in the first half, Joe, because their passing wasn't very sharp. They weren't really sort of threat going forward. I think he might look to make changes. Just looking at the bench, maybe Will Hughes might come on that centre midfield sort of role where he can get himself on the ball.
I'll give you both benches now. Tottenham, Austin, Dyer, Kulusevski, Perisic, Sarr, Bissouma, Danjuma, Lucas Moura and Sanchez. And for Crystal Palace, Eduard, Mateta, Guaita, Richards, Riedewald, Klein, Milivojevic, Lokonga, and as Perry mentioned, Will Hughes. Here is Son on the halfway line. Lots of spectators still to get back to their seats for the second half, which is already a couple of minutes old, and Tottenham lead Crystal Palace by a goal to 0, and there's a foul on Ayew. Richarlison and Ayew just shake hands and make up after all of that, but there will be a free kick for Tottenham to defend that is midway inside their own half.
Yeah, it was just Decore just travelling forward with the ball. Richarlison tries to get himself back goal side, just ends up dragging him to the floor with both his hands around his shoulders, and then just bumps into Jordan Ayew. just Richarlison being Richarlison, just made himself a nuisance.
As they will take the free kick, whips it in high right-footed towards the far post, and Anderson, who loops in a header back across goal, and Forster only half got there in front of Gehi and got a glove on it, hacked out of play in the end for a Crystal Palace throw 10 yards from the corner flag. He's a big goalkeeper, Fraser Forster, 6'7" or so, but even he was struggling to punch that one away.
There's a mismatch every time Crystal Palace have a set piece. It's Richarlison trying to pick up Anderson. That's the fourth time that Anderson's managed to rise above him and get to the header.
And now Mitchell delivers and wins a throw by the corner flag. There's Gallagher Premiership Rugby live on Talksport 2 right now. Bristol against Gloucester. Boxing to come on the network later this evening. Boazzi against Stepien. And the full-time phone-in once we're done here. Here's an opportunity for Schlupp to play it wide left towards Zaha, who had to stretch back to control that on his right foot. Then with the edge of the 18-yard box, Palace 1-0 down. High ball to the far post, headed away by Ben Davis for Tottenham. And now Anderson from midway inside opposition territory. Little flick from Eze to find Elise. Right by the corner flag, in swinging cross, and it's Zaha who's brought it down far post and curls one over the top of the crossbar. It had Forster scrambling. Lovely dinked effort from Wilfried Zaha, and had that been on target, I'm not sure Forster would have got there, Perry Groves.
Yeah, it was decent play from Crystal Palace, just starting the ball out on the right hand side. Elise just coming in, crossfield ball with his left foot. Fantastic first touch from Wilfried Zaha, sets it up for his shot, and he's just trying to bend it in Fraser Forster's top left hand corner. As you said, he just had him scrambling for a little bit there, just watching the ball just sail over the crossbar.
03717 22 33 44, by the way, the number for the game day phone in later with Jamie O'Hara and Fabio Bonlahor. They'll keep you up to date with Liverpool against Brentford, which is the 5:30 kickoff. We'll bring you team news from Anfield in around 25 minutes time. Crystal Palace have started the second half well. They've had lots of the possession, almost all of the territory. It's been played inside the Tottenham half really so far this second half. 5 minutes into it, but Spurs lead by a goal to nil. We are smack on the halfway line here, a lofty commentary position on Talksport, and a steep drop to the touchline below, and Ryan Mason and Roy Hodgson about 10 yards apart. The two Premier League managers with the biggest age gap of 43 years and 308 days today, the age gap between those two, but it's the much younger of the two bosses who will be the happier. Throw by Mitchell up to the halfway line for Crystal Palace, and Zaha looked to neatly cushion the layoff infield, but Harry Kane was there to send it back to Longley, and he goes all the way back to Forster, decked out in bright yellow. Now Romero chips the ball forward up towards the centre circle. Kane lets it run over his head. Good hold up play by Son, then a terrible ball by Kane, uncharacteristic, given away to Ward. Elise racing forward down the Palace right, has to check back and play it back to Ward on the halfway line.
I know I'm sounding like a bit of a Harry Kane fanboy, because that was obviously unusual for him. He normally just rolls the ball out to the left hand side of the outside his right foot to Son. As soon as he lost the ball, Joe, what was his first reaction? His first reaction was to track back. He tracked back about 25-30 yards to get himself back goal side.
Who would have thought that the Tottenham skipper's biggest fan would be a former Arsenal winger of all people?
Well, I just like seeing fantastic football players that are top of their game. He's obviously he's a craftsman, basically. He's coming up to 30, and this, I said to Adrian at half time, he's got to make sure he doesn't waste the next 2-3 seasons of his career. If he stays here, this is going to be a project for whatever manager comes in. He hasn't got time to wait for a project for his team to be challenging, even to get in Champions League positions or challenging for trophies.
And of course the European football that Harry Kane is looking for is the Champions League, which Tottenham are almost certain not to reach this season. We've got Champions League football next Tuesday. Real Madrid against Manchester City on Talksport, live from inside the stadium. Spurs heading for a win that would take them 6th. Here is Pedro Porro. 1-0 they lead Crystal Palace. He's midway inside opposition territory, trying to thread a ball towards the edge of the penalty area, intercepted by Gehi, and now they quickly set Zaha away on the counter-attack. Racing forward up the near side channel, surrounded by white shirts, but he lofts it square into the path of Eze, who's rolled it wide. He took it down beautifully, but got the shot all wrong. More time than he thought he had, I think, there as well for Eze, with Elise in close attention too. Maybe it should have been allowed to run towards him. Davis was totally out of position, and Tottenham are very lucky that it's not 1-1.
Eze actually got in the way, because it's fantastic play from Wilfried Zaha, just does a little cutback, Cruyff turn inside, Oliver Skip. You can see Elise is completely unmarked on the right hand side. He tries to feed it out to Elise. Eze actually gets in the way, so then it stops the momentum of the ball. Then as the ball bounces, he sort of scuffs his shot, doesn't even hit the target.
Shove in the back of Anderson by Richarlison, and a free kick to Crystal Palace, who are the better side in the second half so far. 53 minutes gone, but Crystal Palace still trail, though they've proven themselves more than capable of scoring plenty under Roy Hodgson. 5 at Leeds, a couple at Southampton, 4 at home to West Ham United last weekend, and now Elise driving infield from the right onto that favoured left foot, whips the ball to the near side, and Mitchell onto Zaha, left edge of the penalty area, dispossessed by Emerson Royal, who did very well, standing up and great composure, poked it away from Zaha and then was tripped, and Emerson Royal has had a great reception coming back into the side today, maybe about a week earlier than was initially expected after surgery on his knee, and he slotted into that position as an occasional right-sided centre-back quite well. Just watching now as he stands doubled over, and he's just stretching. Is he stretching his arm here maybe? Was he caught by Zaha, it looks like?
Yeah, no, I think he's okay. You say he's probably just sort of hyperextended his left shoulder. It's good defending actually, because when we won with Zaha, you know, in trouble. And Emerson Royal just made sure he cut off the touchline, made Zaha come inside him, and he's got good upper body strength and just eased Zaha off the ball.
Tottenham have a great record in this fixture, and they lead by a goal to nil. It's as you were in the Premier League as it was at half-time in the second halves elsewhere. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1. Manchester City 2, Leeds 0, and Wolves 1, Aston Villa 0. Liverpool against Brentford is at 5:30. There's going to be a yellow card here out of the pocket of the referee for a poor challenge on Jeff Schlupp, and the yellow card produced by Darren England, and Richarlison is standing over Schlupp here, but it's Ollie Skip who is going to be booked.
Yeah, to be fair to Darren England, he tried to let the game flow, hasn't he? He hasn't been too finicky.
No, he has booked Richarlison here, has he? No, it was Schlupp who has been yellow carded. Tottenham have a free kick 15-20 yards into opposition territory, near side their right. The noise from the 17,000 or so behind the goal to the right, with the golden cockerel at the very top of that stand. Murky, cloudy skies. 10 minutes into the second half, live on Talksport. More Premier League football in London for you tomorrow. West Ham against Manchester United. And it's going to be Pedro Porro to deliver, right-footed into the edge of the penalty area, flicked on by Longley. Longley couldn't divert it further towards goal. He was a heck of a long way out to try and score with a header there. I'm sure he was trying to find a teammate. And then Emerson Royal is robbed of possession by Eze. Eze drives the ball over the halfway line, a brilliant ball towards Elise. Excellent covering by Son of all people, stretching to head that clear. Otherwise Elise would have been through. Maybe the game is starting to get a little stretched now. Emerson Royal on the halfway line, and he's managed to win a throw in front of Tyrick Mitchell.
Yeah, it was brilliant play by Eberechi Eze. Initially, he had 3 Spurs players around him, did his sort of a couple of Michael Flatley foot overs, just a little turn inside with his right foot. He's tried to hit a raking pass out to Lise on the right hand side, and as you said there, Son did fantastically well, because he smelled the danger, made sure that he got back in the left back position, got his head to it, and completely eradicated the danger.
The picture painting Perry Groves. A lovely little shimmy, wasn't it?
Is it paint by numbers?
Forward by Kane up the middle. It's going to take a deflection. It's going to fall towards Richarlison here, away from Anderson. Pokes it wide to Pedro Porro, edge of the penalty area, curls it left-footed, and he curls it wide of goal. He has shown he can hit them, Pedro Porro, in his Tottenham career so far. Scored a couple of spectacular finishes since joining the club, but he had Son left, yet another player through the middle, and in the end he chose the wrong option.
Completely the wrong option. As it comes out to Pedro Porro, all he's got to do with his right foot is roll it across the 18-yard box round about the penalty spot, and Heung-min Son's completely unmarked on the left-hand side. As you said there, cuts inside with his left foot, completely skies it. Just real bad choice of pass there from Pedro Porro.
Tottenham 1, Crystal Palace 0. Latest early in the second half at the Etihad with Talksport's Mickey Gray.
57 minutes gone, still Manchester City 2, Leeds United 0. City just dominating possession. Erling Haaland just had a great opportunity. The ball came into the area, headed it against the crossbar, albeit the offside flag did go up. But Leeds United still need to ask more questions in this game. Man City 2, Leeds United 0.
And Manchester City heading 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Let's check in on the South Coast at the Vitality Stadium with Alex Crook.
12 minutes gone in the second half. It's still Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1. The visitors have dominated possession since the restart without really troubling Neto in the Bournemouth goal, and from a quick counter-attack, Dongo Ouattara put in a dangerous low cross that Benoit Badiashile almost turned into his own net before knocking it behind for a corner. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1.
Chance for Zaha inside the penalty area, crossing left-footed. It takes a deflection off Emerson Royal, who slid in, and it loops over the top onto the roof of the net and behind for a Crystal Palace corner. Those were dancing feet from Wilfried Zaha, and Royal almost got in a tangle, but it's eventually deflected over the top.
Someone unscrew Emerson Royal out of the ground there, because I think I've just done my left kneecap. Wilfried Zaha
just watching it,
twisted and turning, a couple of Cruyff turns Emerson Royal inside out. But to be fair to Emerson Royal, his physicality got him back in to defend the ball.
Corner whipped in by Elise, headed away by Davis from the edge of the 6-yard box. It's come back to Decore. Decore corner of the penalty area, away from Tuin White. He shoots, and Forster goes down to make the save at the near post. Talksport takes you to Molineux, latest in the Premier League there with Jeff Peters.
And Wolves still lead Villa 1-0 thanks to Totti Gomez early header. Costa close to getting a Wolves second, denied by Martinez. Bailey on for Traore for Villa at half-time. Villa haven't won in 10 matches this season when they've trailed at the break. It's Wolves 1, Villa 0.
And that'll please Tottenham even more, with Aston Villa very much in the fight for Europe, but behind at Wolves. Given away by Davis, straight to Anderson, midway inside his own half, the Crystal Palace defender, and it'll be sent back to the goalkeeper Johnston, all in lime green. The rain has stopped in North London as Johnston clears long. It's chested down by Skip, but intercepted by Ayew, who darted in front of him. Schlupp threads it through the middle. Good starting position for Forster, the goalkeeper, to beat Zaha to that ball, which probably was overhit by Schlupp and hacked away by Forster. We've had an hour, Perry Groves. Tottenham 1, Crystal Palace 0. I wonder, will we see substitutions sooner rather than later?
Well, I think at the moment Roy Hodgson will be quite pleased with his Crystal Palace side, because they've been the better side in his first 15 minutes. I think this is a frustration of the Spurs fans, Joe, to be fair, because they've scored in injury time at the end of the first half, so they're in the ascendancy. You want them to come out, be positive, get themselves on the front foot. And the Spurs fans who could be bothered to come out for the beginning of the second half, they're looking at it and thinking, why have we gone so passive?
Davis plays the ball crossfield, left to right to find Pedro Porro, who's set up one goal already today. Right-headed to the penalty area! Deflected shot turned over the top by Johnston. I think it took a touch off Mitchell, that. Goalkeeper had to watch it carefully, pushed it over the bar. Corner.
Yeah, it was unlucky from Pedro Porro. Acres of space out on this right-hand side. Good first touch, just gets it onto his right foot. As he said there, I think it was just a slight deflection of Tyreek Mitchell. To be fair, in the end it was a simple save from Sam Johnston. Tipped it over his crossbar. Corner for Spurs on their right hand side.
Fifth corner of the game for Tottenham, who lead by a 1-0 in the Premier League against Crystal Palace. They've conceded plenty this season, so the cushion of a second would be great for them. In by Pedro Porro, headed away by Anderson in front of Romero, who hit the bar from a corner in the first half, and Son will steer it all the way back to the halfway line of the waiting Oliver Skip. Now Højbjerg angles the ball to the right, and Pedro Porro right in front of his head coach Ryan Mason, and Pedro Porro gets the return ball from Royal, keeps it in play, darts down the right and crosses, headed behind by Gehi, and out of play for a corner. We've seen him exposed defensively, Pedro Porro. He's not a full-back, but as a rampaging wing-back he looks a really exciting player.
Yeah, it was good link-up play on the right-hand side between him and Emerson Royal, little give and go. I think Pedro Porro maybe could have just got his cross in a little bit earlier, because as soon as he took the touch, it gave Tyreek Mitchell the chance to get himself a block. Another corner for Spurs on the right hand side.
And Pedro Porro will take this one again. It'll be a right-footed out-swinging delivery in front of the Spurs fans. Poor into the near post, headed away by Eze. And it drops down to Zaha, midway inside his own half, looking to sprint away and launch a counter-attack. Son is there to win it back for Tottenham. Ross County have a second in the Scottish Premiership against Livingston. They lead 2-0. Here is Harry Kane for Spurs. Tottenham looking for a second here into the penalty area. Anderson gets a tackle in, behind for another Tottenham corner. The game is really in the balance at the moment. Of course, the Crystal Palace equaliser would change things, but you do feel, Perry, if Spurs get a second, they'll be in complete control.
Yes, Spurs' third corner in the space of a couple of minutes. To be fair, that was all started by Heung-min Son just tracking back, making sure that he robs Wilfried Zaha, then plays it out to Harry Kane, who tries to go on the outside of Anderson. To be fair to Anderson, the big Crystal Palace centre-half, he did really well, didn't dive in, toe poked it away for a corner for Spurs over on the left-hand side.
And off goes Pedro Porro, the Spaniard, 23 years of age, to take this right-footed. It'll be an in-swinger, plenty inside the 6-yard box, into the near post, and again cleared by Eze. Two poor corners really from Pedro Porro. Son racing back to the halfway line to regain possession in front of Elise. Not the first time he's been crucial from a defensive standpoint in this second half for Tottenham, and you can really feel the warmth of the crowd as they respond to him.
Yes, one thing about Heung-min Son, obviously had the best of seasons with his own high standards, but he never gives you anything less than 100%. He's done his job really well defensively.
Still St Johnstone 1, Dundee United 0, but Dundee United are now down to 10 men. Harry Kane has gone down after a rather lunging challenge from Doucouré. Doucouré has stepped away from the incident, and Kane is lying on his side as he tries to recover from that very robust challenge from Doucouré. Whipped his right foot around the lower legs of Harry Kane, who's going to have the physio on here, but should be okay to continue.
Yeah, I think he's okay. Just Doucouré sliding in, just trying to nick the ball in front of Harry Kane, and it just end up hitting his, I think it was his right ankle, so it just be the old-fashioned little bit of spray. Just an impact injury. Harry Kane will be okay.
Tottenham 1, Crystal Palace 0. Talksport with Now Sports. Don't forget, with Now Sports you can stream all the Sky Sports action. Liverpool against Brentford live today for $11.99. No contract, search Now Sports. We have more Premier League football for you tomorrow. West Ham against Manchester United at 7 o'clock. Exclusively to Talksport on Monday. Nottingham Forest against Southampton. Huge game in the relegation battle. That's live on Talksport on Monday night. The same day, we'll bring you the final day of the League 2 and Championship seasons, and the final day of League 1 is tomorrow. Again, coverage of that on Talksport 2, and the network will have commentary of all the playoff matches. Kane back on the field, and okay to continue. Ball on the halfway line for Tottenham with Longley, 20 minutes into the second half, and a throw, one off the heels of Elise, and the players just slowed down a bit here after that stoppage, understandably so. Kane takes up possession, right of centre, midway inside the Palace half. Pedro Porro in a crossing position, but he plays it back to Kane. And Kane all the way towards the halfway line, and Emerson Royal, and Spurs have the advantage and don't necessarily need to force the issue when there's nothing on for them, Perry.
Yeah, just looking at Spurs, what they've done quite well in general play is that Richarlison and Harry Kane obviously stayed up front, but then Harry Kane drops in to that little deep position, so Richarlison actually ends up being the main centre forward.
I mentioned the headed goals that Harry Kane has scored, 10 in the Premier League this season, and Tottenham now have 16 as a team in the top flight, their most for well over 20 years. The aerial route has been a potent one for them. Here is Romero, midway inside his own half the field. And already into the final quarter of the game, Perry.
Yep, there's definitely a better start to the second half than the end of the first half, Joe, isn't it? Because there's been more pace about the game. Crystal Palace set their stall out in the beginning of the second half to go on the front foot and try and be attacking. Spurs have managed to weather that sort of mini storm where Palace had a couple of half chances, one from Wilfried Zaha, another one where Rich Eze actually got in the way of Elise and got his shot away, and now the game has settled down a bit and Spurs are dominating possession.
And content to keep the ball as Longley plays it forward to Kane on the halfway line. Kane turns away from Anderson and then whips it cross-field, having dropped deep to find Pedro Porro. Onto Son, level the edge of the 18-yard box, down the near side, the right for Tottenham, trying to spin away from Gehi, who's tracking him all the way. Now Emerson Royale in a tight spot, surrounded by 3 in blue and red, but Tottenham have played it very neatly and nicely. Kane has popped it back forward to Son, couldn't quite find his strike partner, and hacked away by Gehi. Lovely football though from Tottenham there, neat intricate play. They've got command and control of the game, and a second goal you'd think at this point would probably make the point safe.
Yep, as you said, Spurs have just started to dominate not only possession but actually the pace of the game. Palace have dropped a little bit deeper, just absorbing that little bit of pressure. Now they've got a chance on the counter-attack.
It's Doucouré inside the centre circle, playing it forward to Elise. Good interception on the slide by Davis, almost using the turf, which has had a lot of rain today, and timing that interception to perfection. Scottish League 1 latest, where there have been goals. Alloa 0, Dunfermline 1, Edinburgh 1, Airdrieonians 2, Peterhead 1, Falkirk 3, Queen of the South 2, Kelty Hearts 1. Tottenham on the attack with Davis, left wing position. Was he tripped there by Ward sliding in? He was. Free kick to Tottenham in a very dangerous area, and a yellow card for Joel Ward. 1-0 Tottenham lead.
Yeah, good play from Ben Davis on that left hand side. We said he's playing sort of as a left back, a left wing back when they're in possession. Harry Kane just rolling the ball inside Joe Ward. Ben Davis just toe point with his left foot, getting himself away from the Palace defender. In the end, the Palace defender Joe Ward just hooks the standing foot of Ben Davis away. A dangerous free kick situation now for Spurs over on their left hand side, which the ball will probably be swung in right-footed from Pedro Porro.
Could he even go for goal here? Is the angle way too tight?
Well, I would actually think the best thing he should do is actually miss the first man, because his last 3 corners he's actually hit the first man, so just make sure you bypass the wall.
Well, he's got 2 men in the wall, as you say, 10 yards in front of him. Pedro Porro from the angle whips it right-footed, and it's drifted just wide of the far post. Evaded the heads of the Tottenham players who are lurking on the edge of the 6-yard box. Johnston was feet to ground, and it's gone behind in the end for a goal kick. Hibs 2, St Mirren 1 is the latest score in the Scottish Premiership. Goal back for St Mirren in Scottish League 2, where there have been goals. Albion Rovers 1, Stirling Albion 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 2, Elgin City 0, Dumbarton 1, Stranraer 1, Stenhousemuir 1, Annan 1, and in that League 2 playoff tie, Brechin 3, Spartans 2 in the second leg, 3-all on aggregate in that playoff semi-final. And you're up to date on Talksport.
Just looking at Roy Hodgson, coming up to 70 minutes. As a manager, he's got to be looking to affect the game, because Palace have just gone a little bit flat, so he could bring on Mateta up front and go off and go a bit more direct. He's got Oddison Edouard as well, so he's got to be looked to making changes, because his team's just gone a little bit flat.
Here's Davis, 10 yards shy of the halfway line, and with space to move into. 20 minutes to go here, through the middle towards Sonny, let it run. Richarlison couldn't reach it, cleared away by Gehi. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1. Manchester City 2, Leeds 0. City heading 4 points clear at the top of the Premier League. And Wolves lead Aston Villa by a goal to 0. Tottenham in front here. Here is Romero for them. Inside the centre circle, Will Hughes is going to come on for Crystal Palace very shortly. Getting stripped and ready to go. And Crystal Palace, who haven't been able to carve out the opportunities that they have in recent games today. And here is Clement Longley for Tottenham, who are seeing more and more of the ball. A long ball by Longley is not a good one, though. And Kane was coming back. Son was also tracking back, and it's all the way through to Sam Johnston.
Yeah, Longley just needs to be feeding that into Harry Kane, who's come short, because he's not going to be that threat in behind.
Anderson, midway inside his own half for Crystal Palace. I'm not sure many would have thought that we'd get to this stage and there would only be a single goal in the game so far.
Joe, if I ever say before a game this is guaranteed goals, slap me around the face with a wet kipper.
Because we know what that means, Perry.
I'm never going to say it again, ever.
I'll remember that for next time.
What, bringing your wet kipper?
Here is Anderson, halfway line, playing it to the right hand side now, and Ward, who's midway into the Tottenham half. Tottenham with plenty of men back behind the ball. Good turn by Elise, tripped by Højbjerg right in front of the referee. Free kick given right of centre. Anderson and Gehi will come forward. They want a yellow card, but Palace fans in the away section, but it's not going to be forthcoming.
Yeah, just looking, Crystal Palace, free kick on the sort of inside right position. with Eberechi Eze standing over the ball, just going to bend it in with his right foot. Looking at Anderson coming to this far post position. I said before, Joe, there's been 4 times where he's risen above Richarlison. Richarlison is now, he's swapped over quite rightly with Romero. Richarlison picking up Gehi.
Eze dinks it in, high right footed to the far post towards Gehi. Good header away by Romero, facing his own goal to flick it towards the near side, the left, and steer it away from danger. It's been kept in play by Gehi, sandwiched in between 2 white shirts, and Richarlison, having won it back very cleverly, just scooped it over the head of Ayew, ran onto it, then was fouled. Ayew gets the yellow card. Harry Kane wants to take the free kick quickly. There's no chance of that. The referee has blown his whistle to stop Son from reaching the ball, because Palace had almost nobody back, and the referee certainly wasn't ready to restart the game. There'll be a yellow card for
number 19 Will
Schlupp, and not for Schlupp, for Zaha, and now Hughes is going to replace Schlupp. So that was Schlupp's last action as Hughes comes on.
Yeah, I thought that Roy Hodgson might have done that a little bit earlier, because Will Hughes is a player who likes to get himself on the ball, get the game ticking over, see if he can inject a little bit of impetus into the Crystal Palace side, because they're looking for that little bit of inspiration. I thought he might have brought a forward on as well, maybe somebody to hold the block, because Jordan Ayew hasn't really been involved in the game.
Yeah, that's more a straight swap, isn't it, almost, for Palace, but it might allow Eze to push a little further forward. Here is Emerson Royale on the edge of his own penalty area, giving it away to Zaha. Doucouré back to Zaha, corner of the box. He's got 2 in the middle to aim at. Zaha curls one. It's blocked by Skip, who was expecting the shot from Zaha, who was trying to pick out the far post, but he couldn't do so. Now Pedro Porro bursting over the halfway line. Mitchell gets back at him. 16 minutes to go. Tottenham 1, Crystal Palace 0. Crystal Palace are still in the game. Here is Eze, urged forward by 3,000 away supporters. And now Elise, level the edge of the 18-yard box, racing inside right channel, but not getting beyond Davis, who should shepherd it out of play, and Davis does that impressively. For the latest odds, head to Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage. Right now, Spurs are 5-1 on to win the game. The draw is 4-1. Crystal Palace 30-1 to come back and win. That's all thanks to Betfair. 18+, begambleaware.org. And on a busy day in the Premier League, the 5:30 kickoff is at Anfield, Liverpool against Brentford, and Matt Jones has the team news.
Both these teams chasing Europe, and Liverpool make 3 changes from their 1-0 win over Fulham. Robertson, Jota and Gakpo come in for Tsimikas, Henderson and Diaz. 2 changes meanwhile for the visitors from their 2-1 win over Forest, as Zanka and Frank Onyeka replace Mikkel Damsgaard and Kevin Schade. Kickoff here at Anfield is at 5:30.
And Son is racing clear and on goal, and Johnston makes a brilliant save to deny him. Long ball driven downfield, and Son broke into the penalty area. His pace took him away from the 2 defenders. He almost went round the goalkeeper, but Johnston did really well. Plunged to his left-hand side, got a big hand on it. Tottenham corner.
Yes, a brilliant ball from Romero. Heung-min Son, Crystal Palace 2 for up the pitch. Great first touch. Sam Johnson does brilliantly in the Crystal Palace goal, because he doesn't commit himself. He makes sure he makes Son make the decision. He decides he's going to go round him to the right-hand side. Brilliant foot movement from Sam Johnson, and this goes full length and gets a massive right hand to the ball. Son tries to roll it into the empty net. Corner for Spurs on the right-hand side.
That's why he's keeping Guaita out of the team. Pedro Porro's delivery into the near post, and it's knocked behind off the knee of Hughes, but there was a foul on Eze by Longley, and a free kick to Crystal Palace. By the way, just a quick footnote, I said Zaha was booked earlier. It wasn't Zaha, it was Ayew who was yellow carded for Crystal Palace. That is important to mention. 1-0 to Tottenham here with 14 minutes to go. Let's bring you the latest at the Etihad in the Premier League with Talksport's Mickey Gray.
Into the final 15 minutes of the game, still Manchester City 2, Leeds United 0. The only big concern is City have not been able to add to the lead. They've had so much possession in the game. At the moment they're on 82%. Just been all in Leeds United's half, and Leeds United just trying to break on occasions in the opposition's half, but not really threatened at all. It's all been about City. Easy day at the office. Man City 2, Leeds United 0.
So Manchester City will be extending their lead at the top of the Premier League to 4 points now. The climax of the Premier League season. We brought you on the Talksport network. No better place to be between now and the end of May. All the big goals in all the big games. Tottenham are going to bring on Kulusevski very shortly. Header away by Emerson Royale, out to play. Crystal Palace throw. It's in a relatively dangerous position, this advanced position, level with the edge of the Tottenham penalty area. We'll be off to the south coast and Bournemouth in just a moment. Tyrick Mitchell, though, will take this throw for Crystal Palace here. Goes square to Hughes. Couple in the middle to Aymar. And it's out of play for another Palace throw, Perry.
Just looking at Crystal Palace, Roy Hodgson's tried to, well, he has changed his shape. Jordan Ayew's come out on this left-hand side. Ruben Zaha's gone more central with Richie Esse, with Elise out on the right-hand side.
Still waiting for Kulusevski to come on. Throw infield by Mitchell, intercepted by Romero, who'll smuggle it upfield for Tottenham. It's come back to Mitchell, though, in the left wing position. Richarlison has gone down. He was caught by a late challenge. Very late, because we were already looking across to where the ball had ended up, and it slides out of play by Son. So Richarlison's going to need some treatment here. So let's go down to the Vitality Stadium. Latest there with Alex Crook.
Still Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1. Kai Havertz has just headed over from close range for Chelsea. At the other end, Matthias Viña, who scored for Bournemouth in the first half, denied by a smart save at the near post from Kepa Arrizabalaga. Big injury blow, though, for the visitors. Ben Chilwell pulled up sharply after a burst down the left-hand side. He's been taken off and headed straight back to the dressing room. It's Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 1.
And Talksport takes you to Molineux now. Latest there, Jeff Peters.
It's Wolves 1, Aston Villa 0. Totti with the early goal. Villa with another big opportunity to try and level. Douglas Luiz with a clever free kick chipped in. Tyrone Mings lost his man 6 yards out just to keep it a beat. He volleyed over the bar. Good news for them, though. Diego Carlos back after a long injury. Wolves 1, Villa 0.
And no issues for Richarlison here, but he has been substituted, and Dejan Kulusevski will come on. And Romero just needed a bit of treatment, but he's moving okay. Tottenham 1, Crystal Palace 0, the latest score here live on Talksport. And a little bit of a sense of jeopardy still in the game, Perry Grove.
Yeah, very much so. Palace have been well in this game in the second half. Haven't quite been able to create a clear-cut chance. Had a couple of half chances, one from Wilfried Zaha, one from Richie Eze. Just thinking from Spurs now, Harry Kane will go with that focal point. He'll go back to that centre-forward position with Kulusevski just off him on the right-hand side and Son on the left.
I mentioned Brentford away at Liverpool in the 5:30 kick-off. They will keep you up to date with that on the game day phone-in on Talksport 03717 223344 to have your say with Jamie O'Hara and Gabi Agbonlahor. That's a towering header away from Romero over the top of Hughes and Emerson Royale, over the top of his own player. And are you trying to conjure up a crossing position, and he's going head-to-head with Emerson Royale here, and there were words exchanged between the two and almost trying to shove each other. They're both as bad as each other really in that instance, and they're both going to be called over by the referee.
Just playground stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, just get on with it, chaps. Don't try and pretend that you're the baddest man on the planet.
Nothing in that. So Tottenham leading by a goal to 0. On Talksport with Car Finance 24/7, in your corner throughout your car buying journey. Search Car Finance 24/7 today. Crystal Palace throw, 10 minutes to go here, and it's level with the 6-yard box almost, this throw from the left wing position. Mitchell goes backwards to Gehi, and Gehi now to the feet of Anderson. Everybody inside the Tottenham half bar the Palace goalkeeper. High ball from Anderson, crossfield on the diagonal, be collected by Elise, who's fouled Davis. Much to the frustration of the Palace fans, that free kick.
Well, on first looks, it looked like Ben Davies just got him, misjudged the flight of the ball and got himself underneath it. The wise old sage, it's Roy Hodgson. He looked angry. You know why he looked angry? Because he actually moved his glasses. It's absolutely nothing. I don't know what Darren England has seen there, because Ben Davies had tried to back into Elise.
Not a hand, no?
No, it's just a coming together. Ben Davies goes down like he's been hit on the top of the head with a lift, and he's like 6'1". I suppose you'd say it's cute because he gets the free kick, but...
Well, I don't think there was much in it, as you say, to say the very least. Roy Hodgson just keeping his calm as Palace win a free kick themselves in the right back position, and it's Elise who wins it this time. Long ball forward by Anderson, high up the inside right channel, headed away by Longley. Ryan Mason was talking about his affection for Roy Hodgson because he was the man who gave him his England debut in his playing days. And hasn't Ryan Mason done well to carve out a very promising coaching career?
Yeah, he was a very good pundit as well on Talksport, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a foul by Kulusevski on Gehi, and a free kick to Crystal Palace about 10 yards into opposition territory. They haven't looked like creating all that much today, really, have they, Palace?
No. I've been looking forward to watching Eze and Elise and Wilfried Zaha, but they've been nullified by Spurs. But what's happened now is Spurs just coming up to 83 minutes played. They've just started to sit a little bit deeper, inviting Palace onto them, so it could be a nervy last sort of 7-8 minutes.
Well, they conceded late, of course, against Liverpool at Anfield last weekend, and a yellow card out of the pocket of the referee, this time in the direction of Davis, and a free kick for Crystal Palace again. It's rather stop-start the game now in the 83rd minute, and a free kick to Crystal Palace right of centre, perfect for Elise to stand over. It's midway inside the Tottenham half.
Yeah, Elise just whipped this in with his left foot. You see there, Davis quite rightly given the yellow card just for trying to drag Elise back.
Ross County 2, Livingston 0, no change in the score, but Livingston are down to 10 men. That could be a big win for bottom of the table Ross County in the Scottish Premiership. Crystal Palace looking for an equaliser here. The free kick from Elise, all the way to the far post, and Anderson! Right back across the goal line and cleared away by Harry Kane. Nobody in blue and red could get the touch to tap it in. There's been a goal at the Vitality meanwhile. Alex Crook.
We are staying up. Sing the Chelsea fans. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 2. Hakim Ziyech with a free kick into the area. It's been turned in at the far post by Benoit Badiashile for his first goal in English football. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 2.
And Frank Lampard maybe finally heading for a first win in interim charge after 6 consecutive defeats. Crystal Palace have just brought on Odsonne Edouard for Andre Ayew, and Edouard, a man who knows what it's like to score against Tottenham, having come off the bench. It's a long ball by Anderson, cleared away by Emerson Royale. What a chance just a few minutes ago for Crystal Palace, Perry.
Yeah, you said Ayew should have actually gambled when the ball come to Anderson at the far post. He did really well. He just rolled it across the 6-yard box. If Jordan Ayew gambles like a natural centre forward, he taps it into an empty net.
Foul on Longley, right down by the corner flag. Let's get off to the Etihad. There's a penalty there, Mickey Gray.
And it has just been saved. Ilkay Gundogan stepped up to try and score his hat-trick on the day on 82 minutes. Still Man City 2, Leeds United 0. He steps up and he places it towards the left-hand side. And it looks like Robles has got across. And I'm not too sure if he's got fingertips to it or it's come off the post. We've just seen a replay of it now. As it goes across, he might have actually just got a slight touch in it, but it comes off the post, comes out, and he misses his penalty for his hat-trick. Still Manchester City 2, Leeds United 0.
Manchester City fall clear at the top as it stands. Leeds remain outside the bottom 3 on goal difference, but the teams below them all have a game in hand. Nottingham Forest against Southampton, a huge game in the relegation battle on Monday night on Talksport, and West Ham against Manchester United. West Ham not safe yet. That's live tomorrow evening on Talksport. Still Tottenham 1, Crystal Palace 0 here. 5 minutes to go, closing stages. It feels like it's all happening in the Premier League now. And Tottenham just looking to see themselves over the line here, Perry Groves.
Yeah, they're looking to just ease the game out. Roy Hodgson's changed it again. He's had more formations in the second half than the Red Arrows because Rich Esse's come out on this left-hand side now. Odsonne Edouard's gone as a centre forward with Wilfried Zaha, with Elise out on the right-hand side.
Let's go back to the Etihad. There's been a goal there, Mickey Gray.
Well, game on. Miss a penalty. Now it's Manchester City 2, Leeds United 1. Man City just don't clear their lines properly. They give the ball away. And it's Rodrigo who came off the bench just after 60 minutes. It ricochets off his thigh. And with his left foot, he just slots it into the bottom corner past Edison to give him absolutely no chance. Game on. Man City 2, Leeds United 1.
And it could yet be game on here. Longley's committed a very cynical foul on Wilfried Zaha. There's a free kick to Crystal Palace, who are a goal down, 6 yards or so from the corner of the penalty area. One of the most cynical fouls I've seen this season, Perry. Longley booked.
I actually thought he was a prop in like rugby union because he's just slid himself across the floor with his outstretched right arm and he's completely taken out Wilfried Zaha. Spurs are playing a dangerous game here, Jokers. They're just starting to sit deeper and deeper. They've gone very passive. Crystal Palace have been in control of this game the last sort of 5-10 minutes.
The physio's been called on here to treat Longley. So it's all happening in the Premier League, and Still, relatively speaking, in the balance around the grounds. Wolves 1, Aston Villa 0. Manchester City 2, Leeds 1. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 2. And 1-0 here to Tottenham against Crystal Palace with Arnaud Danjuma stripped and ready to come on.
At the Etihad, Joe, say Leeds only lose this 2-1 against Man City. Everybody thought that was going to be 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Sam Allardyce has been in the dressing room afterwards saying, actually, I told you, you do exactly what I tell you what to do. You stay in that team shape, you defend for your lives. We've got a chance of getting out of this.
There's been another goal at the Vitality Stadium. Which way, Alex Crook?
Game over. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 3. It's two of the substitutes who've combined. Raheem Sterling with a powerful run into the penalty area, cuts the ball back for João Felix to tuck into the bottom corner. Finally, something to smile about for Frank Lampard. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 3.
He's going to get his first win as Chelsea's interim manager. Longley is being helped off the field of play here. I think Spurs are going to want to take him, get him back on, and they're going to make a substitution which is going to see Eric Dyer come on for Longley here. So Dyer takes to the field in place of the injured Longley, and it's a double change for Tottenham. Danjuma, as we mentioned earlier, is also going to come onto the field. His 10th Tottenham appearance. All of those have been off the bench, and Heung-min Son's number is up. And then once all of that is done, as Song takes the long walk from left to right across the field of play, Crystal Palace will have this free kick to the right-hand edge of the penalty area, about 6 or 7 yards from the corner of the box, and Son is taking far too long to leave the field here. The referee, of course, will add all of this on to added time, but this game is not done yet, and Tottenham, who have conceded late goals recently, have some defending to do here, Perry.
Yeah, it's all been self-inflicted from Spurs, I say, because they've gone very passive. They're starting to sit deep, although Roy Hodgson's obviously put 4 up front for Crystal Palace. Now they've got a real danger position where Rich Esse will swing the ball in from the right-hand side with his right foot.
And he does that high into the penalty area. Edouard was up there, and it's headed wide by Romero. Good bit of defending from the Tottenham centre-half to flick that behind for a Crystal Palace corner. Talksport Game Day Live on a Saturday afternoon. Tottenham really need a win here to boost their bid for European football. Crystal Palace not with much to play for, but they've got that attacking verve. Can they find an equaliser here? Elise to whip in the corner. Anderson climbing, headed away, and Højbjerg will bring it down and hammer it clear. Out of play. Crystal Palace throw, heading towards stoppage time. 30 seconds of normal time to go, and Højbjerg has gone down this time, and the referees have to stop the game again.
Yeah, it's very cute from Højbjerg, just trying to stop Crystal Palace's momentum because they're just firing balls into the box. I think Joachim Andersen must have a magnet on his head, because that's about the 6th header that he's won at the far post, but Crystal Palace haven't been quite able to get to the knockdowns.
Throw in taken infield by Mitchell, and he finds Elise. Now Gehi, midway inside the Tottenham half. Here comes the 4th official with that electronic board. There'll be 5 added minutes at the end of the game. Crystal Palace 1-0 down. Ward with the cross. Edouard couldn't chest it down. Can Tottenham see it out? Højbjerg looking to smuggle it clear. It'll be a big win for Tottenham, but it's won back by Ward. Deep inside Tottenham territory. Now Harry Kane helping out defensively. Tripped by Ward. Free kick to Tottenham, and for the umpteenth time it feels like in the last few minutes the Palace fans rage at the referee.
That's very sweet of the Palace fans all rage.
And look at that, Forster and Zaha, who's resting to try and get the ball back off the goalkeeper, and Forster was trying to hang on to it, and Zaha not happy with what he saw as time-wasting tactics, and Zaha could be in trouble here, in conversation with the referee, and there's a yellow card for Wilfried Zaha, and also for the Tottenham goalkeeper Fraser Forster. Yellow cards are plenty in this second half. It's not necessarily been the prettiest of matches, and for Tottenham it wouldn't be the prettiest of wins if they can see it out, but we're a minute through 5 added and they lead 1-0.
Yeah, it's got really scruffy in this second half. Fraser Forster just wasting time, just flicking the ball up into his hands. Wilfried Zaha trying to get the ball off of him. I have no idea why Darren England has booked Wilfried Zaha, because quite rightly he's gone over to Fraser Forster and said stop wasting time. So he's booked Fraser Forster for wasting time, and he's booked Wilfried Zaha for making him stop wasting time. How does that make sense?
There's a chance for Kane racing down the left, tripped by Anderson, sliding in, missed the bounce of the ball there, Anderson, and caught Kane late. Yellow card, free kick for Tottenham in a dangerous position.
Yeah, just late there from Joachim Andersen, because he's just slid across the turf. Great play from Harry Kane, getting himself in behind Joel Ward. Give the referee, Darren England, absolutely no option but to get the yellow card out. Spurs, danger position over in their left side position. Are they going to put this into the box or just try and run it into the corner?
Well, to give you an idea, all three centre halves have stayed back, and there's actually nobody in the 18-yard box, Perry. It's a win, if they can get it, that would take Tottenham up to 6th in the Premier League table. The teams in and around them would all have games in hand, including Brighton, who'd have 3 games in hand on them. But Tottenham could be about to leapfrog Brighton here. Midway through 5 added in stoppage time. Spurs free kick deep inside Palace territory, taken short to Davis by Højbjerg, and now Kane barged over by Doucouré. And Crystal Palace showing increasing frustration here as time ticks away from them, and maybe the points do as well.
Harry Kane is so clever at that, just taking the ball in tight situations, getting his body in between the Crystal Palace defenders and the ball, and every time he just gets touched, he goes to the floor, just waste another vital 30 seconds.
Very late in the day now, 2 minutes of added time to go. Højbjerg has escaped down the left-hand side, infield to Danjuma. Danjuma blocked off by Andersen. Andersen should be able to get it here for Crystal Palace. He does, plays it square to Eze in the right back spot, chips it forward towards the halfway line, knocks it straight out of play. Felty was fouled, nothing given. Bournemouth 1, Chelsea 3. Chelsea heading for their first win in the interim stewardship of Frank Lampard. Manchester City 2, Leeds 1. City heading 4 points clear at the top, but it's not done there yet either. Wolves 1, Aston Villa 0. Wolves heading for that much coveted 40-point mark. We've got the game day phone in to come at 5:30 on Talksport. Live boxing later as well. Talksport, your live sports station, and of course, especially here in the Premier League, where we'll bring you all the big matches between now and the end of the season. Throw to Tottenham. We've had nearly 4 of the 5 minutes of added time. Long throw by Davis down towards the corner flag, cleared away by Ward. It's come back to Højbjerg. Ward gets a tackle in, and Tottenham are managing this really well.
Yep, really good game management from Spurs, just keeping it in Crystal Palace's right back position, just getting it in the corner, throwing it into Harry Kane, just shielding the ball.
Ward gets in front of Kane, will hack it clear for Crystal Palace, but the ball is where Tottenham want it, out of play, midway inside the Palace half, a Tottenham throw, and Spurs are very nearly there. It's finished at Molineux. Wolves 1, Aston Villa 0. We'll bring you a full-time report with Jeff Peters very shortly, but Wolves have won. And that's a good result for Tottenham, because of course they started the day level on points with Aston Villa. A throw to Tottenham deep inside opposition territory. Kane has the ball down by the corner flag. We've nearly had the 5 minutes of added time. It's cleared by Ward upfield towards Edouard. The header by Romero, who's been excellent today for Tottenham. Arguably a candidate for man of the match. The ball is with Ward in the right back position, but time is nearly up. Driven downfield. Header away by Emerson Royale through a crowd. Flick further clear by Ward again. Skip on the halfway line, beats Doucouré to it. It's come back to Andersen. Chips it into the Spurs half. Over 5 minutes of added time have been played. Tottenham 1, Crystal Palace 0. Spurs supporters looking towards the referee. Ryan Mason wants the full-time whistle. It's not forthcoming. Here is Ward, 10 yards into opposition territory. On now to Elise. Elise drives infield to a centre position. Forward to Doucouré. Doucouré onto Hughes. Back towards Doucouré. Smuggled away by Romero. It's come back to Elise. Palace looking for a very late equaliser. Elise's down by the dead ball line. Romero gets a tackle in. Romero will let that bounce out of play, and the full-time whistle blows, and Tottenham have won a big win and a first in interim charge in his second spell at the club for Ryan Mason, as Crystal Palace are beaten here in North London. Harry Kane with the winning goal just before half-time as he continues his excellent run of scoring form. Tottenham a big boost for their hopes of finishing in the European places. They move up to 6th in the Premier League. Full-time on Talksport. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Crystal Palace 0.
Well, Tottenham get the win, and so do the leaders, Manchester City, here at the Etihad. The full-time whistle has just gone.